Okay, YouTube, you know the deal. Let me know that we are all good to go, that we're not having no technical difficulties, because technology tends to do that. You should be good.
It has its own personality. I'm not going to cooperate today.
Okay, yeah, it looks like we're good. It looks like we're good.
Oh, nice.
So, I want to apologize. Liz and I,
that was my fault.
We're running on Korean people time.
Oh,
KPT.
He's always giving me crap, but I give it right back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always giving her crap about not being on time because 9 times out of 10,
I'm not that late.
I actually have a tougher time trying to remember when you were, like, on time.
How long have you been living in Florida, in Miami?
Almost a year now.
Okay, I've been here 12 years. Give yourself 12 years because this is like the vacation capital of the world. You're going to start being late too.
What do you mean? I'm not late because I leave early. But I don't have kids, so it's like a little bit different. But I'm almost certain that the kids have nothing to do with it, first of all. I'm almost certain that Liz is just generally late to things because her grasp of time is like different than everyone else's.
I thought we were talking about the DNC fraud lawsuit. What are we talking about?
People have to get here, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I can go ahead and continue the roast session. So her grasp of time is different than the rest of the world's, which in some instances is good because she can get like lost in her work and allows her to super hyper focus. Whereas for like me, actually, and probably for Jared too, because he's not necessarily on time either, but we get like super distracted because we think we have more time than necessary.
That means I'm gonna live longer than all y'all because I'm just like my time is different. Y'all, you know how turtles they live until they're 100 years old because they move slow. The Galapagos turtle. That's
true. Yes.
And you know how
I don't know because they move slow. Is that the reason why?
I don't know why.
Did you just make that up?
I did. You don't have a barrier on speculation. And you know how like mice they only live like a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the shrew has a really short lifespan.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they have high metabolism and they're always nervous. And they're always on time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're always on time.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're always on
time. Well,
time.
it has like the stress level of a mouse is a lot different than that of a turtle. Think about it. Not a lot of people, like animals, are going to have the turtles like, yeah, can't wait to crack my teeth on that shell.
So you can roast me all you
mouse,
want. You can roast me all you want, but I'm going to be 85.
Well, you know what they say about husbands? They say that we have a shorter lifespan because we choose to. After being married for 40 years, that you just was like, all right.
Yeah, but this is a fact. People who are not married live shorter than people who are married.
I thought it was the other way around.
No. I actually saw a study. Men who are married on average, live longer than men who are not married. And that's because when y'all start getting old, guess who's going to feed you?
Yeah, no.
Otherwise, you're just going to be like...
That's definitely... Well,
but you know who lives long?
Is it divorced in single, or they've been single in general for their whole life?
That's a good question. I don't know if the study...
I think you have to account for those variables because maybe he was married for a long time and then got divorced. Was like, yes, finally, I can go to sleep.
All I know is I think the study was like whether you're living alone in old age or whether you have somebody.
I could see living alone.
Could be kind of low.
Because because I don't even know if they die because like they might just feel like, hey, you may not have any family left. You're living by yourself. You don't have anything to live for. You're not going to work every day. So
that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But you know who lives the longest? This is what the study. Women who live alone.
Yeah, actually, it's women who live alone after their spouses die. On top of that, or after they're are with the.
So what does that say about?
I don't know. My grandma's 94 years old and she's not going anywhere anytime soon.
See?
Yeah, I remember when my grandfather died.
An early grave.
Seriously, no, it's the opposite. I don't know if we call it drive to an early grave.
I'm hungry.
Is
there any food in the house?
When my grandfather died, my great grandfather passed away, and we're all sad.
Oh, you knew your great grandpa? That's a blessing.
Yeah. My mom's really young, so I got to hang out with my great grandfather. It was really cool. For a few years before he passed away, even in my adulthood. So when he passed away, I distinctively remember when we got back from the funeral and the wake. What's the thing afterwards?
The wake.
I guess, yeah. And she sat on the couch, she said, "Whew, about damn time I can actually go and get some stuff done now." I was like, Grandma, what the hell? And my mom was just like,
tell us what you really think.
Yeah, right. But she's just like, I mean, she had to do everything for him.
Right.
Because she was the one who was mobile.
She was honest.
Yeah. And now she's the president of her building.
Wow.
In New York. Yeah. So, okay. So I think we have enough people here now. Thank you all for being so patient. Like I said, we started a little bit late, but it's cool. We are here now. That's the beautiful thing about YouTube. You can always go back and watch, right? So if you missed it at 2, you can come back later. But I have Elizabeth Lee Beck here to update us about the DNC fraud lawsuit. So can you give us a quick rundown about what took place yesterday in regards to, you know, the case was dismissed and then we had to go through a process and now we're here.
I wanted to, thank you first of all for reaching out to do the interview. Because I saw that people were looking at the order, but a lot of people had questions on social media about what it means. And I saw that, the enthusiasm and the encouragement that the order gives is valid, but I did see some misconceptions.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
As
correct.
Always with law.
Well, I wanted to correct. So somebody asked, does this mean we're going into discovery? And I have to say, we're still in the appeals process, so there is no discovery in an appellate proceeding. It's only after the appeals process is over and we go back to the trial court that we would actually have the opportunity to go into discovery, which is the evidence-based part of any lawsuit, where you dig into documents and take testimony.
Whoever said that, you're getting way ahead. You watch too much Law and Order. We gotta hope to get there. So
Niko, now you're roasting random people on Twitter. Okay, so what happened is that in the lower court, the case was dismissed at the motion to dismiss stage, and the lower court, in its order, stated several reasons for the dismissal, and there can be more than one reason. One was a jurisdictional question on whether that lower court even had the
the authority to
even hear a case of that type, because federal courts, we file this in federal court. Federal courts are what they call courts of limited jurisdiction. That means it doesn't. If you have a beef with someone, you just don't automatically get to go in.
Yeah, he was detailed in the sense that he describes it's very, very specific situations that you can do such, bring it to that court.
Right.
And he outlined them, and generally, which is why we're appealing it, right? We do align with the reasons why. We just kind of had to reword some stuff.
Well, there's rewording, and then there is substantive reasons for a dismissal. So, and I said this before, and people said you're wrong, and it's clear that once again you should listen to us. We kind of know what I would like to think that we know what we're doing. But when the court said that we didn't have jurisdiction, and I remember doing an interview and saying that as far as one of the jurisdictional questions is, does this even belong in federal court, is under the Class Action Fairness Act, which was passed by Congress, class actions do belong in federal court.
Oh, as in is there a general rule for class action?
Yeah. Well, it used to be not the case.
Okay.
But Class Action Fairness Act said that if one of the plaintiffs and one of the defendants have different
areas of
residence.
Or isn't there a different word that he used?
Diversity. It's called diversity.
No, to describe residency. It was another word that he used.
You know what? I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the order in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. But I remember that we described him as residency, and then he had a problem with it.
Yeah. And
home of record,
residency. And one of the ways you can get into federal court is called diversity jurisdiction. That means if the person doing the suing and the person getting sued are they don't live in the same state, then you can get into federal court. It's called diversity jurisdiction. Now here, we have 150 named class action representatives and 2 defendants, the DNC and Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Now, CAFA said that, and of course it's a class action, so the class is huge on the plaintiff side. Yeah. So the question is, in a class action situation, what are the diversity requirements? And CAFA, which was passed by Congress, said that if you just have minimal diversity, 1-1, then you can go into federal court.
Which we do.
But the lower court had an issue with that, and the lower court's order didn't mention CAFA, and I remember reading
which
the
was
order.
Weird, but I think there were reasons for that, which we can talk about in a little bit. Me and Colin were talking about that when it first happened.
Yeah.
Because he had briefly brought that up.
Colin is one of the attorneys on our legal team.
Yeah. Genius. The dude's a super genius.
Oh, he also doesn't wear tinfoil hats like I do. So
yeah. At least not in public. He probably does, like, in his mind.
I think
we all do.
I think really. Everybody should wear a tinfoil hat.
Which is why she wears tinfoil hats.
Anyway.
But
you were talking with Colin.
So as far as that was concerned, we actually kind of came to the conclusion after, like, going through, like, step by step what the order had said. It was kind of like the appeals was the best thing that could have happened to us at that particular stage, because it was something that could have come up later and set us back even further. Not necessarily that part of the jurisdiction issue. The second one would have been the bigger problem, because then they could have just beat us off of it. Which could have been a problem.
Well, yeah, I don't presume to figure out what goes through a court's mind when it does. A court issues an order. You either agree with it, in which case you're happy, or you disagree with it, in which you take it up on appeal. But when the dismissal happened, as disappointed as I did see the silver lining in that situation. And one is, if there are any potential issues that could rear their head, you gotta exterminate those in the early going. So one issue which the lower court raised, and which I disagreed with, I disagreed with the dismissal based on the diversity requirement. I said, under CAFA, we have it. On appeal, we have our first, I hope, and certainly not our last, I hope, our first victory in allowing the appeal to proceed, which is the appellate court. And I've never seen this in any of my other appeals. Usually what happens is you file the appeal, the side doing the appeal files the appeal, and then you have X number of days. Since you're the one that's doing the appeal, you're the one with the issue with what happened in the lower court, you file what is called an opening brief. Okay? And then the other side responds and say, no, it got, whatever the lower court did is correct, this appeal should be thrown out. Then it's called a response brief. And then you, as the appellant, have the last word in filing a reply brief. That's usually how it works. In this case, the appellate court issued 2 requests for information on jurisdiction, sua sponte. And sua sponte is
I feel like the appellate court should
on its own. No. The appellate, everything has to be done on the record.
Yeah,
right?
But I'm saying, like, the request for the information is kind of weird. I feel like that's something that should just...
I've never seen it in an appeals court, but it issued it's
maybe because of the it could have something to do with the scale of the case.
I don't know if we upload it. We should. Yeah, exactly. So it could be. I don't know, but the appellate court issued 2 jurisdictional questions, which even before going to the opening brief, we briefed that. And the appellate court yesterday issued a very short 2-page order allowing us to reword, right? It's a rewording of the lower court's complaint.
Really?
Yes.
That's actually a big deal.
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
So we're going to reword it, and it's going to be deemed as filed, and then we're going to motor on ahead. So the significance of this is, one, is that there was an issue, and we briefed it, and the appellate court, instead of doing this to our appeal, it's saying, okay, do this, and then now we're going to proceed to the next step. So it is significant, and I think it is encouraging because the appellate court could have thrown out the appeal.
Yeah, and that's actually, like I said, that was one thing that I was kind of worried about, because even though the jurisdictional thing, like what you said with the first thing with the class action stuff, that was kind of like an easy fix. Like, look, this is how it's, it is what it is. But the second part, which was some of the substantive language in it, which the judge kind of was not vibing with, at least the way it was worded, was a bigger fear going into it. But we get to amend that.
Right.
So that means that whatever chance they had to argue against the holes in Jared, Colin, and Elizabeth's arguments are not going to be there anymore, because now they can just patch them.
Yeah, and when it comes to jurisdictional,
that's
the
what
diversity jurisdiction under CAFA, it's a very, very narrow issue.
Yeah, but I'm saying, it could have been like blown up by the opposing side.
Oh yeah, I mean, it could have. And
we haven't even gotten to like the argument.
Thank
yet.
you. We haven't even gotten to the argument.
Like talking about just in the context of the hearing.
Yes, absolutely. And the appellate court cited CAFA. Under CAFA we do have jurisdiction. Yeah. So, and I said this when the lower court's dismissal came down. I said I disagree with it. We do have jurisdiction under CAFA, and people said, "You're full of shit," and I'm like, "No."
Yeah, she was getting ripped on Twitter. Like,
I was like, "No, people." Under CAFA, I disagree. I respectfully disagree with the lower court. We do have jurisdiction under CAFA, and the appellate court has confirmed that.
Yeah, that's and so for all the people who are on Twitter, Jared and Liz don't know what they're doing. Like, you have three of the brightest minds in the legal field.
I know Jared's. I know Jared and Colin. I mean, we're trying smart. The best we can.
They're good at their job. They're good. They're like, this is what they do. If they, and they do it because they're good at it. And they do really do it because they're great at it. And this isn't their first case. And if she's telling people, and this isn't even something like super like crazy, like some super crazy legal theory like buried in the legal books. This is like, it's pretty cut and dry.
I think it's a fairly straightforward fraud case. I don't think the case. I don't.
I'm not even talking about the fraud. I'm just talking about the class action thing about the jurisdiction.
Yeah,
it was pretty cut and dry. Like, the case itself also was pretty cut and dry, but that particular part is in what people were saying was like ridiculous. Like, y'all never had jurisdiction. You didn't establish jurisdiction. You didn't do this. That's law, first year of law school, and Jared's really not as nice, but Liz was being nice at the time.
He's nice.
He's nice until you piss him off. But because usually when they start with insults, Jared's not nice, because we're alike in that instance. So
he's a really nice person.
And I was telling him yesterday, in real life, some people would never even imagine him being the same person on Twitter.
I mean,
he's the sweetest guy ever. Actually,
you have like X number.
He's nicer than Liz in real life.
I would agree with that.
Liz is like nicer on social media, which is kind of usually how it goes. Liz is nicer on social media than she is in real life. Like, Jared is like super nice in real life and ultra reasonable. Like, he will sit down with just about anybody and reason with them for 2 hours.
But that he won't. But the thing about real life though, Niko, is that if Jared is like having like a day where he doesn't want to talk to people, he'll like not talk to them.
Oh yeah. He's not
he only wants to interact with people when he's in the right frame, because he's an introvert. Are you an introvert?
I don't.
You're probably not.
I feel like I am an introvert. I feel like I'm an introvert. If you're
voluntarily doing interviews, you're an extrovert.
I feel like I'm an introvert because I like my my alone time. I actually, believe it or not, I like being in big places because with a lot of people, because I feel like a lot of people aren't paying attention to me.
That's like you're an extrovert. I'm like
really,
that too.
But I don't like talking to people.
That's
I don't like people like talking to me in big places. I just like being there because I feel like everybody's occupied with their own thing. But if I'm like in a room with like one or two people, I will speak because I don't like the awkward silence.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes me extrovert or introvert.
I think that makes you an extrovert, but what do I know? I'm just guessing.
I don't know. What is an extrovert or introvert?
I think the definition I saw is do you gather energy from people around you, or does having people around you deplete your energy?
That's a very good way to put it, and I definitely think it's the first part. I definitely get energy from people. Yeah. But the problem is, like, I also give energy. Like, I feel like it's depleted, but I don't know if it's depleting my energy or like if I'm voluntarily giving out my energy.
That's a good question.
See, that's another thing. But I feel like introverts, they're involuntarily giving out the energy. They just hate the fact that, like, so they're like, oh, do you have to be standing in that corner while I'm right here? Like, I don't want anybody else in the room.
Right. No,
yeah, so.
that makes sense.
But yeah, I guess I would be an extrovert. I mean, I like talking, so my mom used to say that's, you know, but I know introverts who like talking, but it has to be to a person they choose to talk to when they, yeah, because Jared could talk pretty much to, if you let him, he'll talk for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, but he doesn't talk to everyone. Like, I'll talk to everyone.
Liz does talk to everybody.
That's why the legal team, assigned interaction with the class to me. I don't necessarily know if I'm doing the best job at it, but I will tell you that nobody else wants that job.
Yeah.
Okay?
And it's crazy because you would think in law, people like public speakers.
I'm not talking about like the 150 class representatives who have been nothing but wonderful. I know they communicate with each other. I'm not privy to that, but they all have each other's contact information. And I do give the 150 class representatives only, I do give them updates. But I'm talking about the general public, okay, which, you know, I do try to address questions that they have had. And by and large, I would say that the public has been wonderful. I know when the case was dismissed, Niko, I mean, I don't want to compare something this important to sports, but No,
it's kind of like sports.
So you know how...
Sports for our lives. It's like we're playing the Hunger Games, though. That's the problem.
No, but you know how in, like, South America there was a soccer team? I saw this on the news. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was in Colombia where he got killed.
Was it Colombia? I thought it was Brazil. So the soccer team, they people loved soccer, and this team went out and played, and I guess they lost the game.
The goalie had kicked it in an own goal.
The goalie, okay, so that was, okay.
So what happened?
So
what happened was, because like one of my friends from Colombia, that's how he knows. So a guy was arguing with him in the bar about like chastising him and messing with him about him doing it.
Okay.
He was arguing back. They got into a fist fight, but the guy apparently was friends with like the local gang. And so they killed him over it.
Geez.
But it's happened in Spain too, and there was no gang involved. It was like it was like in Barcelona or Real Madrid. I can't remember which one, but they killed them just because they lost the game.
Okay, so I mean, like, I don't want to say that's really awful, and I in no way want to diminish the fact that like an athlete got basically assassinated for losing a game. But I mean, the public, there's a little shade of that going on in the public. So when the case got dismissed, there were folks who just I don't want to do that. But then, you know, by and large, I think most people still realize that it wasn't over yet, and you know, they're following the case.
I would say it was like, well, okay, so after kind of people took a step back and digested it, but at the very, 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 very beginning, people were freaked out. They were freaked out. They were freaked all the way out. Like, which is, because I specifically remember, because that's when I called Cullen. Because I said, I'm not going to call Liz first, because Liz is going to freak me out. So I'm going to call Cullen first, because he's level-headed. Cullen's the level-headed one. So I called Cullen, he's like, oh, I'm not worried. I figured this is going to happen. I was like, okay, you're going to have to elaborate. And then he breaks everything down for me, and then I'm like, oh, I need to tell the rest of the world before they go into a suicidal panic. And so over the next couple of days, we got the message out, and it was, like I said, it was very reasonable. Now, there are lawyers out there, so just because someone told you they're a lawyer on Twitter, I'm a lawyer, I study legal theory. First of all, they're full of shit. And remember Hillary Clinton's a lawyer? How competent is she? Okay, like there are a lot of, I don't want to say, there are a lot of Republicans who become lawyers and literally think that, and these are people who literally have to study logic for years and years and years, and they think that weed kills people, okay? So just because someone is in a profession, it doesn't mean that they are good at their job. Just like in sports, you have starters and you have backups.
Thank you. And then, you know, you could be a dentist, which is technically a professional in the medical field, but that dentist might not have any idea why you're vomiting up blood. And they're like, I'm a doctor. I went to,
Yeah, exactly.
I know why you're vomiting up blood. It's because you're eating too many chili peppers. I'm like, how do you, so it's kind of like just because somebody says they're a lawyer does not mean they know everything about the law. So for example, I'll give you an example. I do civil litigation. I would not presume to be an expert in criminal law. Mm-hmm. Okay, and as for tax law, I know about as much as you. Anybody who files taxes,
yeah,
I know about as much of
Nobody
tax
wants
law.
To be in tax litigation.
Actually, they do. They have
well,
professionals.
now, I mean, yeah, no, they do, but like, well, and now it's like a big thing.
But could you imagine, Niko, if I was like going on Twitter and be like, "I'm a lawyer. This is what the tax law means."
It's ridiculous.
I'm
but
full
they do
of shit.
But people do that though.
Yeah, I know, and I don't think you should believe just because
Yeah.
somebody says they're a lawyer does not mean they know everything about every legal topic.
Yeah,
I'll tell
and
you that
usually
right
when
now.
you have to premise with "I'm a lawyer," it usually means whatever you're about to say sounds like you're full of shit. So, like, it's like I don't say whenever I'm having a conversation or some kind of disagreement in public or a debate at the bar, I don't premise with. I worked for Bernie Sanders and I ran a state political campaign before I say whatever I'm about to say about politics. It's you should be able to tell,
right?
In some way, form, or fashion that this person is a professional based off of what they say, and it should stand on the merits of the logic and the facts in the comment, not And it's really crazy. You know what's even funnier about that? What are the main fallacies you learn when studying for the LSAT? Appeal to authority. And half of lawyers on social media do it. They're like, I'm a lawyer. Listen to me. That's how you get screwed.
Yeah, I mean, just eat lots of vegetables so your brain is working well, and just kind of use your common sense. Because we all have common
That was such a weird first. Shouldn't we use the common sense first? That was such a weird thing to say first.
I mean, like, why do you think lawyers... Common sense is like...
Most lawyers don't have it, actually. I would say the majority of them.
I don't know if that's true. You're just making that up.
No,
they may have more or less or the same as the general population.
Most people don't have common sense.
Oh.
So most lawyers, especially because a lot of them like grew
sense?
up like really affluent. They went to really nice schools where like they didn't have to a lot of like common sense in my opinion comes from a lot of like experience.
Okay, I would agree with that.
If you're going to a top 5 school, you don't have those experiences, which is probably how you got into the top 5 school. As in like, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, I think, but there's a reason why if you're black and you score 160 on the LSAT, you can get a full ride to Harvard. But if you're like a white male and you score 160, you're not going to get into Harvard. So like,
is that true?
No, that's true. True. Yeah. If you score 160 and you're a black male, then you are in the 99th percentile of all black people for LSAT. So like, you got to think about that whenever they're educating you on a legal theory, because everybody's biases and experiences comes in no matter what your profession is. I think you would agree with that. So like the way you view the law, that's why it's called legal theory. Just like philosophy and economic theory, none of it is really concrete. Like there are certain laws that are concrete, but even those can be changed at any moment. And the way they interact with other laws can be changed. Mm-hmm. But people will choose to see things through a lens, especially when they're on social media and their like money isn't depending on it, and that will corrupt the way they convey that to you. And it's it's like with any other, like I would say, like you said, like a doctor who is a vegan will give you different professional advice than a doctor who may not be a vegan.
I remember. Speaking of.
By the way, most doctors aren't vegans. There's a reason for that, but that's a different discussion.
I remember I used to tutor in a, I would say, I'm trying to think, it was in the the elementary public schools of the Compton school system. And what happened was the school system was run so poorly that the state took over. And they had contracted with a private tutoring company called Sylvan to enrich the students in reading. And I was a Sylvan tutor. I was tutoring these elementary school kids. And I remember there was, and children are different. Some have more aptitude in reading, some less. But as an educator, you can see how some kids do have more of an aptitude. And there was this one child, he was very, 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 very bright. Okay? And he was, it was a good program. It was one instructor with 3 children. I really enjoyed it. And you can see the progress. And some of the children made progress by leaps and bounds. And one day, this bright child just disappeared. He stopped coming to school.
Oh.
And what happened was he had brought what he thought was he was like a 4th or 5th grader. He brought what he thought was a little cigarette to school, but it actually turned out to be a little marijuana cigarette. And he was smoking it in the bathroom. And he got another kid to smoke it. And the other kid's parents found out about it, and all hell broke loose. And this kid, basically, this 4th or 5th grade kid, just disappeared. So I don't know what happened to him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he was taken away from his parents and put into foster care or juvenile. Okay, but it was just, he was gone. Okay, and he was I would say about, this was a long time ago, about 90% of the kids in my class were African American. Maybe the remaining 10% were Latino. Okay. Mm-hmm. So why am I telling this story? I'm telling the story because I went to UCLA for college, and I had a friend. He was a really good friend of mine. And, he was white. He was a white guy. And he came from a very affluent part of San Diego. Okay? And he transferred to UCLA, and when he did, his grandparents bought him a shiny red Corvette.
Man.
That's nice, right? But the reason I'm telling this story after the child who disappeared on me is that my college friend told me that when he was growing up, his parents did a shit ton of drugs around him. Mm-hmm. And he remembered it. And he told me, like, who the hell does drugs around their children like that? Okay. Mm-hmm. And so my question is, both my college friend, when he was growing up, and this little child, both of them had a similar environment. They had apparently parents. I don't know what kind of drugs my college friend's parents did.
Yeah, because it might have been different.
It might have been heroin. It might have been cocaine.
Yeah.
But he said that his parents, did a lot of drugs. And in this case, this kid brought a marijuana cigarette to school. In this case, he told me that his parents did a lot of drugs. In one case, the child disappeared from school and his education was interrupted. In this case, this child was allowed to continue without interruption, and he ultimately ended up at UCLA. Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, there's something going on here where I see 2 children in very similar home circumstances where in one case, and both parents are being kind of crappy.
The inheritance of security is what I actually call it. So if right now, well, I'm fortunate because like I probably could have taken advantage of it, but even still, like I couldn't have. This was too many grandchildren live with my grandma. But like if I don't know if you had in the South, we definitely saw this all the time. I'm tired, like you get in trouble with your parents. I'm tired of living with my parents. I don't feel like dealing with them anymore. I'm going to live with my grandparents because they let me do what they want. They buy me what I want. They never argue with me. Yeah. And that was actually something that happened a lot because their grandparents are extremely, like their parents are well off. If the parents are well off, 9 times out of 10, the grandparents in that town particularly, because it was an old, quote unquote old money town. The grandparents are super well off, and so whenever something bad happens, they can just, you know what, that's fine, I'm not going to deal with it, and just go, a school district over.
I see.
Literally, people would go to a different school for a year and come back, or go to a private school for a year and come back. They never ended up at Child Protective Services.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, like for me, my grandma lived in California, and a lot of families are like island families, and my families are from the islands. They don't we lose a lot of our family members over time. They move. You know, we came in New York. Some moved to the South. Some moved to California. Some, like, I found out that I have a family member in New Jersey that I never even knew, like, just because I called him accidentally while I was at work. It's no joke.
When you say you're from the islands, are you talking
like my family's from Barbados?
Barbados.
Yeah, my mom's side is. So like, and I love the Southern families. If they remained in the South, they stayed together. But a lot of Black families in the North,
isolation.
They get isolated. They got isolated, and then they split up. And so you don't just get to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Child Protective Services is more likely to get somebody like myself or my brother, where we can't run anywhere else immediately. Without planning, whereas this little kid, the moment that their parents sense that something could go wrong, go to your grandparents' house,
right?
Go to your aunt's house, go to your great aunt's house,
right?
You know, where their families are all. I always call them the Thanksgiving dinner families, where you know for a fact you're going to see a picture with their entire family every year during the holidays. Right. I could never do that. There's no feasible way for myself to do that. So
I think having family that you can count on. Is so important for stability, but a substitute for that is money. So if you have a crap load of money, you can also kind of create that security.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one or the other, I think you need to have one or the other in order to have some stability.
But I feel like as far as making
it could become very unstable.
So here's the difference, though. I think money is a good substitute for temporarily. But I feel like those kids will still end up ultimately in bad. So, like, for example, look at I don't want to say Johnny Mansell because he's still probably going to end up being successful. But like kids who end up down here, where you live in Florida, so the rehab capital of the world. So there are a lot of parents. I know a family personally where the dad is the only one who is rich. The grandparents don't have any money. The grandparents passed away because he's like a little bit older, but she's younger because she's the youngest. And the sisters are constantly in trouble. They're approaching their 30s, constantly in trouble. One eventually ended up doing well, and she got in trouble in Rhode Island, ended up in Florida, came to Florida, still in trouble, but it's easier to stay out of trouble down here in the rehab world. So the difference was, though, if you can go to your you may have a certain type of respect for your grandparents than you do for your father, because like once you leave your parents, that means there's no structure, like no paternal or maternal structure there, and now you're just learning from the influences around you. And usually when you get sent to a place with money, somebody else has sent their bad kids there, and someone else sent their bad kids there, and so you're just learning from a bunch of people who never learned their lessons, and their parents didn't like dealing with them.
Obviously there's no one formula otherwise to raising good people or keeping your people out of trouble. I mean, otherwise we'd follow it.
I would say the one thing that conservatives, even though I don't know if they mean it in the exact same way that they are conveying it, but the single parent household is very, very dangerous for a lot of different reasons.
Because you don't have it's just one adult in the house. So what happens if the adult becomes sick? Exactly. I just got through like a horrible flu. What happens if you have
Me and my brother take care of my mom. That's really what happens.
You have like one breadwinner. It could be a mom or a dad. And then they have kids that they have to take care of. What happens if they get sick?
Yep.
But
here's something else that's even more interesting that like sociologically is more interesting. Like so they make it seem as if the single parent is like the problem, and it's not the single parent, because believe it or not, in the South and the Midwest, there are more single white mothers in there. Well, obviously in the Midwest, but in the South, where like the black people in the cities are kind of proportional to the white people, there are more single white mothers than there are single black mothers.
I think.
But the difference is the single black moms, oftentimes, if they're like I said, if depending on what their family background is, when you're a single black mom, like your mom is relatively young, probably. If your mom is still alive, she's relatively young.
Obviously, we're talking about like very broad generalities.
Yeah, of course. But like, what is this? But these are tendencies, though. Yeah. So like, they're generalities, but at the same time, they're like there's like reason to it.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Do you think in the African American community in the United States, it's matriarchal or patriarchal? Because
I feel it depends on what generation. My generation is definitely matriarchal. It's and to the point where now the real black men, because there's like movements like that believe that there's like
that is?
they're trying to destroy or eradicate the black male like.
Why do you think it's matriarchal?
Because of the drug war. We got thrown in jail. And then when you weren't thrown in jail because of the job disparities, your dad was always at work. And then also, remember, this is huge that nobody ever thinks about. The same reason they won't, like the reason that we don't get the type of welfare that Cubans got when they got here, or the same welfare that Israelis get when they get here, is because, remember, somebody has to be the you have your officers in the military, but someone has to be your worker bee, right? So, and I've seen this happen. This is in Fayetteville, because Fort Bragg is personnel-wise the largest military base in the country. What they do is they perpetuate the cycle so that you have to go to the military unless you go to college and you become an officer, and either way you're still going to the military, because we have a fear of debt. We black people, we are like it gives us anxiety, whereas some people see debt as a way to build their credit. We see debt as, wow, my parents have always been in debt, I don't want to start my life off as an adult in debt. So, and then even if I wasn't in debt, I had a full ride to college. How was I going to get there? How was I going to pay for my food? When my friends go out of town to a concert or whatever, sporting, how am I going to go? I didn't have any money. I couldn't work because I had to go to school full time. So my only option, especially because and then I still need to help my mom and my siblings. So I had to go to the military, and that's what happens. If I'm thinking about if my brother, for example, has a kid, so that's a better example. Luckily, for the first 3 years of his son's life, which doesn't really happen, he was in Miami, so he got to be there for it. But now think about him being another type of situation where he's not on shore duty, and he's a black father, and he's gone. Because your
brother's also in the military. Because your brother's also in the military.
He's still in, So imagine
which arm?
Oh, he's in Navy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so imagine, because you're going to be if you're on a particular base, you're going to be deployable for 4 years in the Navy. That's 6 to 9 months.
And obviously, this is not a racial thing.
It's not necessarily a racial thing, but it happened to minorities because of the economic, the disproportionate economic situation we put in, where we were forced to do this. And so the fathers going to the military, whereas the mothers were staying at home because we were deploying. Mm-hmm. So we were always with our moms. Yeah. Or the fathers were being put in jail because of the drug war. So you were with your mom. And who babysitted you when you weren't with your mom? Grandma. It is like that now, So even with my grandma, I don't talk to my grandfather as much as I talk to my grandma. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I do it on purpose. I hey, tell grandpa I said what's up. If he's by, he'll hop on the phone. But when I call from my grandma, and it's just instinctual. Mm-hmm. So, and me and my dad are even on better terms right now, and I still instinctually, I never think to call my dad because he might be worried or he wants to check up on me.
Do you think that may be more common in families than you think? Because I think that maybe men of older generations were told not to be very emotionally expressive, so they just kind of sit on their Barca lounger and watch sports regardless of what your background is.
But even with their sons, all the people that I know with their father, they talk about sports all the time. That's really the only thing they talk about. Literally, is probably sports and politics. And so they're texting about sports, talking about sports. When they visit each other, that's what they hang out, and they don't want to be bothered by their brother, their mom and sister. They want to watch sports. Mm-hmm. So, but most, like I said, in most minority households, it's just not like that. If I want to go watch sports, I go watch with my brother.
Okay.
Or if you don't have siblings, you watch it with your friends, or you might watch with a family friend, but you're not like, oh, let me go hang out with my dad most of the time. And it's just kind of like that. That's the way it kind of ended up.
That's interesting because talking about broad generalities. I grew up without a father, but I know that watching my relatives, in the Korean immigrant community here in the United States, because I grew up here, but obviously my mom and her siblings didn't. They came over when they were adults. The fathers beat the living shit out of the kids.
Yeah.
I was like, man, so I don't think they sat around watching sports either.
No, yeah, most of the Korean kids I know are not close with their fathers. like it's kind of changing a
Yeah.
little bit. And a lot of the fathers I've seen have kind of softened up.
Yeah, they've
Since
softened
from when I
up.
first met them and the way they interacted with their kids,
Right,
and
right.
to now, it's softened up a lot. But yeah, no, the was it Agashi? Okay, I totally forgot. Ajushi. There you go. Yeah,
That's
at
just
church, we never talk to them.
Right.
We never talk. I would like almost look down walking past, and I didn't even know why I did it. I'm like, what?
That was good. That was
really?
good.
Oh, that's good. So that was good though.
Because I mean, like, you know, you're not supposed to make.
But like the older women, always, you know, we always talk to them, always.
Yeah.
So and once again, that could be like just Korean culture because of the interaction. It's like father's there for discipline to make money, like you know, and the mother's there to nurture, and so. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, but ultimately, like I said,
and then everybody like turns into Americans, and then you just eat a lot of Doritos and gain weight, and
yeah,
you're like,
but then
I don't know why Trump is president. Ah,
Koreans end up being huge when they like their kids end up being huge. I remember like there was not one single male at my church by the time they graduated high school that was under 6 foot.
Yeah, so
it was crazy. I was like, I thought y'all were supposed to be
I'm gonna
short.
talk about my mom again. My mom is like, I swear to God, she looks like. If she were green, she would look like Yoda. I swear to God. Just put a wig, just put like a permed wig on Yoda. I swear. So she's like this tall, but like I'm like 5'6", right? I mean, why? Because I think it's the milk that I drank in school.
Yeah, I think the milk actually has a lot to do with it.
Growth hormones.
Because we were drinking full milk. We were drinking whole milk when we were young.
In school, right?
Yeah.
They give you milk.
They didn't
this
start
was
doing
in the
2%
80s.
until recently.
This was in the 80s, so who the heck knows what, like, they were pumping full of those cows.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's California, so at least it was better.
Growth hormones, and then, I would go to school and we would drink all this milk, and I just, like, shut up.
Yeah, that's what pretty much happened to all the kids at my church. They were, like, super small when they were kids, like, super tiny. And then high school, they were sprouted, like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". I'm like, what the hell are y'all? Y'all sure y'all eating rice and kimchi at home?
We're all, like, genetically modified at this point.
so let's get back to the
I'm sorry, digression.
But, so what's the next step? Yeah, what's the next step?
The next step is we are preparing our opening brief.
Okay.
The appellate court sua sponte. I wonder if some people become lawyers because they just love Latin. On its own. It means on its own. The appellate court sua sponte issued 2 jurisdictional question inquiries, which we have addressed, and the appellate court issued an order resolving it and allowing us to proceed. So now we would be filing our initial brief on the merits of the dismissal. I just want folks to understand the odds of appeal stink. Okay, there's no other way to put it. Civil cases, I think, if and when you appeal them, are overturned about something like 5% of the time. So
even with class actions?
Well, I don't know the breakdown, but just across the board. So we're looking at a 1 in 20 odd. But that's across the board.
Well, the fact that we even got this far is pretty.
Well, I mean, but in terms of procedure, we haven't gone very far. We filed the lawsuit, it got dismissed, and now we're up on appeal. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, but
it just feels.
It's like this. I'm gonna put it like this.
It just feels like a lot because of everything that's gone on in this case outside of court, like Seth Rich, Sean Lucas, the break-in, the call, the Branton White. All of this has not happened in the court filings, but happened outside, and people are aware of it. So it feels.
Well,
much...
I also feel like it's. We've had a lot of. Think about it like this. Every single time we like get a dismissal or we have a motion, or we have to deal with some type of proceeding. Every stage we get to, we're like, this is unusual. This is unusual. This is unusual. Pretty much the entire time, it's been like the judge asked unusual questions, like during the dismissal hearing, like that judges don't usually ask during dismissal hearings. He's like was wanting to know a lot of details about things that really shouldn't really have anything to do with.
Well, I don't know necessarily if that I would say that, but I will agree that it was unusual that the court gave this case so much of its time.
Yeah.
Had 2 hearings.
And that order was unusually like long and detailed. And,
yes.
and the fact that he even went out of his way to when
At
you
the
know
hearing,
when he said that he wasn't going to recognize the trivialization of their bylaws, like
right,
which was unnecessary to even say.
Right. You're absolutely right. I have seen courts summarily kick you out. Get out of my courtroom. Sometimes they won't even issue much of an order.
Yeah.
But
like,
here,
with the Mayo case, right? With the Mayo Clinic case, so it's like summary judgment, and it was like not even really a legitimate, like it was not well thought out.
That
like,
was just such an odd.
Yeah.
So
Mayo Clinic stuff is always odd.
I represented a family that sued the Mayo Clinic for some funny business in connection with an organ transplant, and we hired an expert. Okay, our expert was a doctor of transplant surgery at the University of Virginia. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're not talking like some schmuck off the street. This is because I wanted to get a very, very reliable opinion of what's going on. Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't know what our expert was going to say, but I said we need to hire someone who knows everything about transplant surgery and how a department is run. I mean,
mm-hmm. So you needed like a practical expert and an actual expert.
But I wanted to get like the best opinion because you can just get if you just get like a regular doctor.
What was was it like a malpractice or like a hiccup?
It was fraud.
That's what I figured. Given it's Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, right? Yeah.
So. And so here's the other thing. The other side hired an expert. Mm-hmm. He was also a doctor, but he was affiliated with the Mayo Clinic. Okay. My expert, I never saw him before, and I just contacted him and I said I need an expert opinion. I can't do anything to him. There's no leverage I have over him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just found him. I said, Doctor, I have a lawsuit. Yeah. I need an opinion. I'll pay you for your time. Can you evaluate this and tell me what's going on? Mm-hmm. Because I'm not a transplant.
Yeah.
I don't. So the other side got their expert who is like affiliated,
vested with the Mayo Clinic.
I'm like, he's like in Minnesota. Jesus.
The Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. Oh,
yeah. They rustled up somebody. So we filed our reports, and the federal judge in the Mayo case, I couldn't believe it, issued an order. Mm-hmm. And I disagree with this. He said, I don't find plaintiff's expert persuasive. You're not.
What does that even mean?
That means I choose not to believe your expert.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe this expert. But here's the issue. That's fine, Judge, but I don't think that's something that the court can decide.
Yeah, he's not an expert
But he's not a fact finder.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an issue of fact, not law. The law doesn't say, the plaintiff's lawyer should not be believed. The law is the law.
Yeah.
See, that's a classic instance when you have two experts that needs to go to a jury.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the judge, he issued an order saying it was a crappy order, didn't make any sense. It said, I choose not to believe this highly regarded doctor. I'm going to choose to believe this
Without
one.
Reason. I do remember
Get out of my courtroom. And then the Mayo Clinic filed a motion to get attorney's fees because they won. This is how our legal system works. Okay, my client, the family whose relative died at Mayo Clinic, they were Mayo Clinic got $400,000 out of them. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Mayo Clinic, for those of you who don't know, is extremely expensive. They're very, very, very exclusive about who they even treat. They took like 2 insurances.
They took $400,000 out of my clients, and their relative who was supposed to get a liver transplant didn't get his transplant, and he died at Mayo. Guess how much Mayo Clinic spent to defend this case?
How much?
Like over $600,000.
Oh wow.
And then what they did was they filed a motion.
Which is weird. If you can't tell, that's really weird.
So I'm like, even before this family contacted our law firm, Mayo Clinic could have just resolved this.
Yeah, but they didn't. But you get where she's going. You get where she's going.
But you know what though? It's just crazy. But you know what though? I almost feel like I was stupid to have faith in the legal system, because this was Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah, well, I said, you want to explain
it was
to them
federal court in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
We filed the lawsuit, and 2 judges recused themselves. They're like, I'm not touching this. I'm not touching this.
Okay, so brief background, because I think we should probably educate people on the Mayo Clinic. For those of you who don't know, the Mayo Clinic, specifically the one in Jacksonville, is part of the Clinton Foundation's Health First initiative.
Oh my God, Niko. So after all of this happens, I find out that there is a connection between the Clinton Foundation, which is quite possibly the biggest charity scam in the history of modern...
Which was already highly suspected, because doctors that had gone to Haiti had said that they were part of some organ transplant, organ donor situation. And, like, but... nobody ever really made a connection to the Mayo Clinic, and then this came out.
So there's a connection between Mayo Clinic and the Clinton Foundation. Mayo Clinic is a non-profit hospital.
Yeah.
They are enormous. The Mayo Clinic is huge.
Yeah.
And
both here and in Minnesota.
Oh, Niko, if you look at their board...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Tell them who's on the board. What, Barbara Bush, Al Roker?
Something like that. All of these like
politicians and big wig in the media
people are on the
doesn't
board.
make any sense
I'm
whatsoever.
Like, why are they on the board? It's crazy.
And I have no idea. By the way, I looked up the Health First Initiative. No idea what they do. I have no idea what the actual Health First Initiative is. It gives the Mayo Clinic an excuse to be in Haiti. I'm gonna put it like that. So that's legitimately what it does.
I almost feel like, in hindsight, maybe it was foolhardy to even think about suing something like the Mayo Clinic.
When did you find out about it? When did you get the case? When did you first...
Oh, I don't have to check the file, but...
Like around, relative, like 2015, 2016?
I would say 2014, 15.
You started around 2014. When was your first, I guess, when was your first...
I can check the file. I mean, I have to check the documents.
I say you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't even thought about.
But I didn't think about
you weren't even really you were into politics, but from a very general
I was not into politics. No, but I'm like, okay, I have a fraud case. It's a hospital. Who cares? So there's just some funny, really just strange things going on in this case. So we agreed to take it, and we filed it. But in hindsight, maybe it was foolhardy to have such faith that the legal system would be able to stand up to Mayo.
Well, I never have faith in the when it comes to situations like that. I don't have faith in the legal system, realistically. But listen. There's a bright side. Yeah. There's a bright side to really to even to that situation.
There is.
Absolutely. I'm explaining to you. So, the odds. Think about this, people. When did y'all move to Miami or Florida?
2005.
So they moved to 2005. And then out of all, mind you, there's a lot of attorneys in Miami. Out of all of the attorneys in all of Florida, they get a Mayo Clinic case specifically dealing with funny business with organ transplant.
But Niko, that's because...
Hold on. Let me finish. So, out of all the lawyers that could have possibly gotten this, Liz and Jared got it. Now, this just happens... Yeah.
I think a lot of lawyers don't take cases like that because they're like...
And that's perfect. Also, I don't know how much money the family had, but that could have played something into it. But either way...
contingency.
So it's contingent. So other contingency attorneys...
No, they don't take cases like that. I mean, if you pay a lawyer...
But what I'm saying is... But this is before... But what I'm saying... Did you take the case before or after the judges recused themselves?
Oh, no. Obviously, that happened after.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's not like the judges already recused themselves. It wasn't like they had a bunch of red flags. Like, oh, this seems pretty cut and dry malpractice. So from that perspective, when they first got it, a lot of contingency cases would have like, oh, this is a good time to make a name for myself. Not 2 judges recuse themselves. At that point, I'd be like...
No, but I almost think that, suing the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville in a federal court in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was foolhardy. Maybe it was foolhardy to think that you even had a shot in hell of maybe you just cannot sue the Mayo Clinic because.
But still though. Somebody would have taken it though. Somebody.
Why do you assume somebody's taking it?
If you have the money or if were you desperate enough to take it?
I don't take
I mean, not desperate, but like...
I took it because I thought there was something really weird going on, and I thought it was a meritorious case.
Yeah, but with
No, I gotta correct something.
Go ahead.
Niko, do you know how many cases never see the inside of a courtroom?
Oh yeah.
Because no lawyer will take it.
But that's still the same thing though. It could have just sat inside of a courtroom. It could have never came to light.
That's what I'm saying.
But it could have never came to light. Another attorney could have gotten it, and they could have won, and we would have never revisited this issue. But if it wasn't for you all taking that case, we would have never, and being like ridiculous, like the summary judgment being so damn ridiculous, and the situation itself being so ridiculous, we would have never learned about 2 judges recusing themselves as soon as they found out it was a Mayo Clinic.
You know, the case settled. It's gone. But let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. There's no gag order on me.
Oh,
I can talk about this case till the day I die.
So
I'm sure they're not.
That would be even weirder if there was one, by the way.
Oh,
that would throw it way out of the.
Oh, they wanted one.
Oh,
they wanted to gag me.
So they were going to try to gag her. There
yeah.
2 judges recused themselves. They gave her a crazy summary judgment. We found out there was some funny business with organs, and that, of course, because luckily the summary judgment came after her starting the super PAC. Her and Jared started the super PAC, and mind you, throughout all of this. Myself, we find each other.
Do you know how unusual it is for like a defendant to try to rope in the lawyers? They were trying to rope me in. They were like, "We want you to shut up too."
Oh, as in, you mean the defendant, not the attorney?
Mayo. Yeah, Mayo wanted to shut me up with it.
I mean, that's weird.
I'm not part of the lawsuit. I'm just a lawyer. They wanted to shut me up.
But that's
I fought like cats and dogs.
But there wouldn't be. My thing is though.
I'm like,
if that didn't happen, think about
me.
What I'm saying is, what if that did not happen when it happened? We didn't find each other beforehand, like after, because it wasn't like that was before the summary judgment, but after you had started the case. 'Cause I remember you were even talking to me about traveling up there. So. We start the DNC fraud lawsuit. Politically, you are more aware and hyper vigilant than ever, and then you have established media connections at this point, thankfully, because of the DNC fraud lawsuit. And all of a sudden, now we know what Mayo Clinic is as a general population in the political world.
I don't know what they are.
I had no idea.
I don't know what they are. What the hell are they?
They're not good. 2 judges recused themselves.
Well, maybe they get treatment at Mayo Clinic.
This is Liz's devil's advocacy that she does whenever she doesn't want to believe something. But they're bad. They're not good. Okay, so in Minnesota, a guy that I was working, it was a client of mine.
Smith.
Oh yeah, he died too. But I'm talking about just like generally wanted to go there, like to get health care. He had to have a specific. I'm not going to say the insurance company name.
What the hell was that guy's name? Peter.
No,
Smith?
It was like Peter Smith or something like, or Alan Smith or Alex Smith or something.
Some guy was investigating the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, the Clinton Foundation.
And then he
led him back to the Mayo Clinic, and he killed himself
in a hospital.
No. He killed himself in the hotel room across the street from the Mayo Clinic by helium. Like there were helium tanks in his room, which is a weird way to kill yourself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was weird. So what I'm saying is they refused to let him for what he was getting treated.
Who is this, your friend?
No. It's a client, a former client of mine. He had these specific medical insurance. I'm not going to say the insurance company because I don't want to get sued by anybody, but it was a specific medical insurance company, big one. And he was like, for that situation, I can just pay cash. No, you have to use that company. Well, why can't I just pay cash? I have the money to. Because first of all, Mayo Clinic is expensive. Like, if you try to pay out of pocket for basic services, it's really real. And then just to sign up, you have to pay like a huge amount of money. So
they're kind of scary, man.
They're very scary. And they're only in like 2 places, maybe 3 at the most, like literally Florida and Minnesota.
And Arizona.
Arizona, but I think one of those is recent though. I think Arizona is recent.
Yeah.
And which is weird because given what we know, and that's a different discussion for a different day. But Arizona just happened to be where a certain superstar died.
Who?
Where he's from. From Lincoln Park. The guy from Lincoln Park.
Oh.
He's from Phoenix. His dad worked right down the street from the Mayo Clinic. And so
the guy who looks like Podesta.
Exactly. The guy, yeah, and I don't know if you saw the video that I did about that, but the Lincoln Park had a business in Haiti.
I don't know.
But
I don't
and they have pictures with the Clintons, which you can't
a
have
lot
a
of
business.
people have pictures with the Clintons.
Yeah, but not in Haiti. You're not allowed to have a business in Haiti without going to the Clintons. Like, literally, there's nobody who's allowed to have a business in Haiti without
Speaking
going
of
to
Haiti,
So,
do you know that there was that independent journalist? She was young. She was in her 20s.
Yeah.
On her own, Monica, was it Peterson? I know her last name was Peterson.
the one who came up missing.
So she went to Haiti to investigate human trafficking. And in the middle of her investigation, she commits suicide in Haiti.
Oh yeah. And same thing with the doctor who was about to come out because he went to Haiti to help, as doctors do, and he came back and was going to put it.
These
on
are all
blast.
facts. I know some people.
These are facts. Yeah.
I know people are listening and they get angry at you. They're like,
oh, actually, my audience doesn't get angry. Like
Okay.
I talk about facts. Like
Okay.
this is.
these are just facts.
Yeah,
we're not saying anything. I'm telling you. You can look her up. She died and was reported to have killed herself. That's a fact.
Yeah, and then you have Klaus
Eberwein.
Eberwein, yep. And
You know,
he killed himself
He killed himself too.
right before he about to
in
testify.
a hotel that's about 7 miles from here.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep, right before he about to testify about the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it was the Clinton Foundation.
No, it was the Clinton Foundation. And
I read
he was the one who managed their finances.
Oh, because I read that Klaus Eberwein was about to be hauled in to testify on government corruption in Haiti. That's what I read.
Yeah, but it was literally about the Clinton Foundation. It was about their interaction.
So I'm going to
specifically about what the Clinton Foundation was doing in regards to using Haiti and leveraging Venezuelan oil, exactly.
Okay, so you look at your body. You know, you're like, what is my body worth? So, you know, I'm just going to say, somebody told me this. So you go down the streets of America and you see homeless people, you know? I mean, I think the number of homeless people are growing, actually.
Yeah.
And how do we value them? How do we value the people on the streets? Apparently we don't value them very much at all.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. Somebody said, you take a human body, a healthy human body, and if you cut it up like cattle, you know, when you go to the grocery store, you see a cow, right? Mm-hmm. And they have
Well, I don't see cows at the grocery store.
No, but like a picture of a cow.
Oh, I was like,
and you're like, this is the chuck, this is the ribs, and you know the various parts of the cow.
Yeah.
It's butchered in person. If you take a human body and butcher it up, it's worth about $1 million on the black market.
Oh yeah, easily.
The liver, the kidneys, right? The heart, the whatever. Okay, so.
Easily, I could see that.
So,
human trafficking is more than just about sex trafficking people, by the way.
This is a fact. I'm telling you, it's a fact. And in the developed world, such as the United States, this is also documented, the need for organs is greatly... the supply of organs for transplant is just... absolutely outpaced by the need for organs. People get on organ transplant lists and they die because they can't get an organ.
Yeah, I will be one of the first ones to die. I am O negative. I'm done. I got to take care of my body. That's why I'm a health nut.
Oh, yeah, because you can't.
I'm dead. Yeah. Well, it's a combination of two things.
Because you got to find another O negative.
Yeah,
person.
but like it's kind of good because it's not in high demand because there's not a lot of us.
So Niko, let me ask you this.
Blood transplants suck though.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Let's say you were a billionaire.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I could ever be a billionaire.
No, but let's just say you're a billionaire and you're O negative. What do you think? You think you can bypass all of that and get some
Absolutely.
If you need a
easily.
kidney?
Think about it like this. The black market in general is the most profitable. They're worth more than the top 20 Fortune 500 companies. So just the black market.
It's true.
Human trafficking is
Why do they call it black market? Do you think that's racist? I think that's kind of racist.
I mean,
why don't they call it
selling slaves? I don't know. White market.
Damn. You think that's where it comes
from?
But
I think it's black because they do it in the dark. That would probably be why. So, but if I was a billionaire, if think about it like this, you can't be the wealthiest market, and you're getting
call it the dark
stupid duck market.
The dark market.
I think,
or the night market.
Actually, I think some people do refer to it as a dark market
or
too.
You call it the night market.
I think that would be just too much. I think it'd be weird.
The night market?
Yeah.
Why? What happens in the nighttime?
It's not really catchy. Not necessarily.
Why is it not catchy?
That didn't have the thing that happened with the Mayo Clinic didn't happen at nighttime. Happened in broad daylight. That's the thing. Think about it like this. You have politicians.
Maybe we should call it the black market.
You have politicians on politicians on politicians on billionaires on billionaires and billionaires.
I think about these things all the time.
When do you hear Oprah talk about human trafficking? When do you hear Bill Gates or any of the super billionaires? They talk about all these little homelessness, all the cute feel good stuff. Human trafficking is very serious, and the statistics are palpable. They're there. We know all the numbers about human trafficking. Luckily, which is one of the few good things that Trump has done, he actually has put a lens on it as of late, but we have had all the institutions and all the know-how to stop human trafficking. Not stop it, but like reduce it significantly. But for some reason, it's grown exponentially. That doesn't make any sense. We have more ways to contact each other. We have more ways to find each other. And yeah, that means more ways to get lost, but that means more ways to be found as well. Like, it's like somebody or a group of people don't want human trafficking to slow down because it's profitable. It's lucrative. Now, like with selling drugs, you have to pay a certain danger fee. Is what we call it. So like weed comes from a farther place. Before recently, of course, like everything is crazy now, but it costs more money because it took more effort to get it, and you put yourself at a higher risk. So same thing with human trafficking. Who's going to be able to afford the finder's fee? Yo, Blue Cross and Blue Shield is not paying you for a black market.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
I have a fact for that because I proposed a hypothetical. If you had a billionaire and you were O negative and you needed a liver, could you get it?
Easily?
So this is actually documented. The UCLA I went to UCLA. UCLA Medical Center is considered very good. Okay, this is not some fly-by-night.
70% Asian, of course. No, I'm just kidding.
They call UCLA. They used to call UCLA the University of Caucasians Lost Among Asians. Because it was just like because there was such a large Asian population in Los Angeles, you know.
Well, it was because of that law that got reversed, or the law that got implemented. You remember in 1997?
No.
Where none of the University of California schools could use any extenuating circumstances to judge, and so like UCLA took full advantage of it, so they would look good and have a bunch of like Asians come in. That most of them, like 25% of them were from overseas, which is a huge number. Yeah, which is like massive.
No, so that's the other issue is that I think American colleges and universities are taking in a lot of foreign students because they're full pay. They don't ask for financial aid.
Yeah, most of them are cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them.
It's just like, I write you a check. Okay, but anyway. So the UCLA Medical Center, they have a transplant department, like a lot of hospitals. And this is documented. They got in trouble over this. You know what the Yakuza is?
Yeah.
Okay. They're like basically Japanese mafia.
No, they're definitely the Japanese mafia.
They're
like the definition of Japanese mafia.
Yes, they're like the mafia in Japan.
They're like the mafia.
They're like all tattooed, and they run like they're like the mafia. They run all the illegal stuff, and then if there's a natural disaster, sometimes the Yakuza will literally come out and like organize like relief efforts. They're like the fucking mafia in Sicily.
I'm about to say some people like I know Japanese people who like say the mafia is like cherished in some communities,
right? Like
because
it's
they
like
stop violence, like they stop violence from happening.
They're totally like the mafia in Sicily.
Yeah, exactly. Okay? Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so the Yakuza, somebody in the Yakuza wanted an organ transplant, and they actually paid like $1 million, and they jumped the line.
Oh yeah, I can see that easily.
I'm talking UCLA Medical Center. Okay, was getting more money to put people to jump some line.
The problem is when you get that type of money, you don't know where to put it at.
The details of this, you can Google this. You can Google this because I read this in a news article. So now you tell me if you're a billionaire and you're O negative and you want a new liver.
Yeah, it would be easy. I wouldn't do it necessarily at UCLA. You could do it at probably NYU. Or no.
Now we're speculating. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I would go to a private school.
I don't know what goes on behind the curtains at these hospitals.
Well, no, I'm not speculating. I'm saying like legitimately, if you're a billionaire, you need an organ transplant. I don't care if I'm an O negative or an ABCD positive. I'm gonna get whatever I want. Cause think about Rockefeller, who just died, or not Rockefeller, Rothschild, who just died at like 107 years old. Like. How he was getting multiple heart transplants. It's like, bro, you know how many times people wait for heart transplants? Think about that. You just talk about basic organs, a kidney.
No, but that's speculation. We don't know.
That's not speculation. He literally had 7 heart transplants.
No. You can't get his medical records.
No, they came out and said it.
Who
when he had his before he died, when he had his most recent one, it was an article about it.
I looked into that. I could not find a reliable
like the New York Times
source.
reported on it. It was like a big thing. Yeah, it was like I was living in New York whenever it was, because it wasn't being spoken of like, oh my god, like they didn't focus on the 7 heart transplants. They focused on it's like 7 or it's more than 4. I'm gonna put it like that. And they weren't focusing on that. They were just saying, "Oh, it's crazy that he's still alive at 107 years old." So it wasn't like weird to write about it.
It is weird to live till 107.
But it's like you just said. And I didn't even think of. I was like 7 hearts. That's ridiculous. So just die. But then I thought about what you just said. Like the line for organs is insane. For like a kidney is insane.
Yeah.
So what happens when you need a heart?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's more expensive to get a heart transplant, and so therefore it's a shorter line. But I imagine that there's not that many hearts just ready to go when you need it. I
could talk about this all day, but do people want to know about the appeal?
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Well, what else?
Did we cover all bases?
I think we did.
So so the next step is to file the initial brief.
This is an interview with Liz, mostly about the DNC fraud lawsuit. But this is Liz. You have to catch up. She doesn't get in front of the camera and participate that often. So
I was on MSNBC last night, and of course they don't want to talk about the DNC lawsuit. They wanted to talk about.
And you know better. Come on. I have to find things out like y'all. Liz and Jared don't tell me anything anymore.
I play ball. I'm not gonna go. First of all, it's taped.
Really?
It wasn't live. No, it was taped. So
they know now from Liz.
Like, seriously.
Last time when she went on, was it CNN?
Yeah.
When you wore your Bernie Sanders shirt.
That was on New Day with Allison Camerota, and they wanted to talk about Trump. But I was kind of pissed off because they had already had me up there to talk about Trump. So I'm like, why are you talking? Fine, I'll talk about Trump. Okay.
It's really funny. They call her to talk about Trump again as soon as all these investigations start opening out.
Which I think that's a little bit more of a legitimate inquiry.
I mean, in a vacuum,
I
but
guess.
it was so the FEC investigation opened up yesterday into Clinton campaign finance.
They're always looking into things. They don't do anything.
No. It's like no.
Oh,
it's
the
like
FBI is going to look at it again.
It wasn't like so FBI is different than the FEC. FEC
I know
like
that. But they're all like looking at things. When are they going to do something about it?
Well, the FEC has never believe it or not, they haven't looked into campaign finance like legitimately after an election since. Because it's kind of hard.
I need to file my reports for JAMPAC, but JAMPAC is not doing anything, and we're certainly not getting. I hope
you ain't got no Hillary victory fund, JAMPAC victory fund set up.
Oh, you know what? It's just like we're not really getting donations. I just
because we haven't been doing.
But the
anything.
thing is, like I always get the FEC. In order to file reports, you have to download this app onto your computer. And it's really time consuming. Oh my god! Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna upload the source financial documents because that's all.
Don't tell them about your financial dealings. Super bad.
Why?
I'm just saying, it's so random.
I'll just block off the account number and upload the bank
If you want to know how to open up your own.
No, because I have people on Twitter. They're like, "Who's funding you?"
Well, no, when that time comes, then yes, absolutely.
I'm
definitely.
I've been busy, and the app is really
Well, we're also, like I said, we haven't done anything. So
I haven't done anything.
Nobody even cares what JAMPAC is doing. They're like, "Where's your money going?" Because we have no idea. We were busy with the lawsuit.
I'm not gonna lie. I have one person I think in Massachusetts who says $5 a month or something.
Oh, I thought you meant one person in Massachusetts was coming at you about this.
No,
no, it's good.
Look, this is the reason that I'm not shutting down JAMPAC because I could totally shut it down and just.
No, we're gonna need it.
I just feel like, JAMPAC can it's just sleeping like a bear. And maybe at some point it'll just rise up again like a phoenix from the ashes and do something really wonderful. That's why I'm not closing it down.
Liz is new to politics. Liz, that's what super PACs do.
What?
They literally go to sleep, they hibernate, and then they rise like phoenix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're on the right track.
Okay. But I'm gonna hire someone and put them on JAMPAC staff so that they can do these filings.
Yeah. No. We'll trust me. jam-pack is gonna be fine. Whenever,
because I like,
we
you know,
get
I
to that,
have,
cross that bridge when we get to it.
I haven't even done my 6-year-old. I haven't even helped her with her homework since she started first grade. That's my life right now.
Wow, she's 6 now. Oh, I feel old. That's my Vespa, right?
Yeah.
She's 6. Wow. But anyway, so with the investigation, so like the FEC opened up their investigation to Clinton campaign finance.
Oh, good.
And it
I'm
wouldn't
glad
be
they're
that big of
focusing
a
on
deal. It wouldn't be that big of a big deal, but they're basing it off the Hillary Clinton Victory Fund stuff that it's already been admitted in the letter that's there. They can't act like it doesn't exist now. And then, of course, you have the FBI investigation or the Judicial Committee investigation into Clinton emails reopening back up because of some perjury. Then you have the FBI apparently had already been investigating, and then we found out that Jeff Sessions actually tried to stop it from happening, but the FBI has been investigating the Clinton Foundation for quid pro quo, but it was actually being headed by the FBI, which is smart, in Arkansas, not the FBI in D.C. So all this happened within a week, by the way. So
I don't follow this stuff.
Yeah, it'll stress you out. But
I remember when you came to our office for the first time. Remember that day?
Yeah.
Because and then in a subsequent interview, you were like, I don't know these lawyers.
Yeah,
what are they gonna do to me?
It was sketchy. You know?
It was not sketchy. This office is not sketchy.
It wasn't sketchy to her. We were here on a Saturday. There was nobody else in the building. This whole office.
Come into my law
This whole office thing was really
young
new.
Man.
There's so many cars parked outside here right now. Whenever I first started coming here, there was like 10 cars per building. It was
empty because it was
empty, and they're like, I'm going based off of now, who was like Dan was like, yeah, go see them. Okay, they're fine.
Yeah. So anyway, you came here, and then you were like working out of a spare computer at our office for a few days, just like doing calls and stuff. I remember you were on the internet looking at something. I remember this, and you were like, did you take a look at this? I don't know if you called it the Victory Fund, but you called it something.
Victory Fund.
You're like, did you look at this Victory Fund stuff?
Yeah.
And I remember, that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2 years.
And I remember.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't follow these funds.
Yeah, whenever she's telling
you were in like a tizzy about it. You were like, have you seen this Victory Fund finances?
I
now
was on the phone with Jordan about it. Yeah, I know. And what's even crazy, it wouldn't be if it was just talking about it. Then I wouldn't be as bothered. But what was crazy is how many people tried to take credit for it. And there was no way they could have known, because remember, I was on the phone with Chris.
People were looking into that.
Teleska from North Carolina was the one who had told me, because he was the treasurer, so he knew the finances of North Carolina's Democratic Party. So that's the way I know. But I was like, why is this not news?
Why is this not news?
Yeah,
this is so shady, right?
Yeah.
This stinks. And
then we found out that one of one of Bernie Sanders' state directors approved a Hillary Clinton Victory Fund transfer in Vermont before she joined Bernie Sanders' campaign.
But this is how it's done. So all right. So did you ever read about that experiment where they had people press a button? So a doctor, a doctor will come in and say, press that button. It sends a shock to the person on the other side.
Yeah.
And then but it wasn't real. And the person on the other side, they started screaming more and more. And this person in authority would tell the subject to press the button more and more. The person pressing the button, they thought the person on the other side screaming was the subject. They were the subject. So what this experiment proved is that if a person in authority tells you to keep pressing the button, people will press the button until the person on the other side died.
Yeah, and some people were like,
oh, stop! You're killing me!
Some people got getting a kick out of it. They were just they were enjoying it, essentially.
Really? I didn't read that part. That doesn't surprise me. So it's people are like, how could you possibly sign off on this Hillary Victory Fund? Didn't it look strange to you? And you're like,
somebody told me to do it.
Yeah, it's just people in authority were telling me to do it, so of course I'm going to sign. Why is this surprising? Why is this?
It really explains why we probably have all the issues in trying to unify, this alternative movement within the left, because clearly we all have issues with authority, and we've probably had them our entire lives. I know I definitely have issues with authority. I'm 100% positive Liz does too. I would say Jared probably does too. Jared hates.
Well, that's why we're all self-employed.
Actually, yes, that's true too. Yeah, Yeah, and pretty much everybody that I know on the left that's like in a leadership position is self-employed. Like, not like rich, but they're self-employed.
You're gonna work in some organization and take orders from some idiot.
It's pretty much how I felt about the military.
If I want to fucking make mistakes, I'll make them on my own dime and take credit or blame equally. Exactly. I'm not gonna take orders from.
I'm not gonna take all the blame and then you get all the credit. That's not how it's gonna work.
I'm like, you work for somebody else. You disagree with something. Doesn't matter. You still got to do it.
They say, hey, and we're kind of like indoctrinated because people are like, just put up with it. So you just have to put up with that type of stuff. And it's like, no, I don't. I'm gonna leave and start my own stuff.
I'm gonna leave and have like a hellish existence, but at least I'll have my freedom.
And Liz and Jared they hate authority so much that they went through hell. Yes, they do. They do not like authority. That's why we get along so well.
Where's your degree in psychology?
The degree is a form of authority. I don't support that.
You're just making stuff up.
No, what do you mean? Degree is a form of authority. It's saying that you have done this and you have sufficient enough education.
Yeah, but you don't have training in evaluating people's...
Actually, I was going to be a psych major. I changed my mind.
That doesn't make you a psychologist.
But I was going to be a psych major. The reason I was going to be a psych major was because I already had it. Well, it's because I'm a very socially intelligent person. I don't base psychology off of like the technical like definitions and like I guess I'm not top down. I'm like I've noticed patterns and behaviors and
what is it
interactions and then with their environment
and things like that. But what does it mean to be like to hate authority? What is that? That makes it sound very
well, okay, so I don't want to say
antisocial.
It means I'm very, very, very critical of authority.
Right off the bat?
Right off the bat, yeah, you have to prove to me that you are an authority on something. And just because you are an authority on something, the first thing I learned about someone who is a good quote unquote authority about something is their ability to say, I don't know that, let me ask somebody who does.
Is this why you don't like going to doctors? You're like, Niko?
That's true. I guess so.
Niko, you're gonna do something.
You know who's
the
authority with my psychologist? My psychiatrist, I'm the authority.
What's this?
Like with my psychiatrist, I'm the authority. I tell her exactly why I need something, exactly what it does. She explained it. She said, you gave me the best explanation for ADHD and how it made you feel than I have ever even heard in my entire professional career, even in school.
Well, I'm glad you have a great rapport with your shrink.
She's not my shrink. We don't have therapy sessions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she just prescribed the medication.
Oh, okay. Because I canceled. I terminated my relationship with my shrink.
See, authority problem. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he was wonderful. He helped me through. He helped me understand my mom a lot. But when the DNC fraud lawsuit happened and all the crazy stuff happened, he wasn't able to help me deal with those issues. He watches Morning Joe, so I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't think you can help me.
Maybe that's why it worked out, because my psychiatrist asked me about politics. We spent about 30 to 45 minutes talking about politics.
Why the hell am I paying you? You should be paying me. I'm explaining what the hell's going on right now. He's like, he watches Morning Joe explains. So. I'm like, yeah, if you're watching Morning Joe, you should be paying me, because that's
I need to educate you.
Because he was very helpful. He's very helpful in helping.
Remember, Morning Joe was kind of like weird though, because Morning Joe had like these things where they were calling out the media.
I don't watch Morning Joe.
They had like a lot of infighting going on that show, because like there was one who was pro Bernie.
Like, I want to know what the hell happened to Morning Joe's intern.
The one who got fired for criticizing
No, the one who died.
Oh, I never even heard of that.
Back when he was a congressperson.
I did not know that. It's crazy.
Happened in Florida too. And then he resigned from Congress, and he's like, I need to spend more time with my family. And then he went into media. You didn't know about that, Morning Joe? Yeah, he was in Congress.
He's like a journeyman. The dude's like a folk singer now. So.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he had like a song like he released literally right after he quit Morning Joe. So.
Wait, Morning Joe quit Morning Joe?
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, it was a big thing. He released a music video like right after.
I thought he had Morning Joe with Mika and they're married.
When did you see Morning Joe? When have you seen that? Like a recent clip from Morning Joe?
Well, I don't.
See, think about it.
I don't have cable.
I don't have cable either, but you're on Facebook. I see more news like clips from Facebook than I ever seen.
I don't know. So there's no more Morning Joe?
There's no more. At least not with him hosting it, but I think that it's no.
How could you have Morning Joe without Joe?
They had a Chappelle show without Dave Chappelle for like a year.
That's a travesty.
It was a travesty. It was not good. But yeah, I tell my psychiatrist, we sit down, and all she literally does is write me a prescription. But I educate her on what happened over the last month in politics every time we go. That's a good idea. I need to start charging her for that. I didn't think about that.
Don't do that.
I mean, I can't say I pay for it.
She'll be
TRICARE pays for everything.
She'll be like, I don't want to know that much.
Right? But she does, because what happens is you'd be surprised. The people who kind of don't have anything to lose that are also set in their ideological ways are harder to convince than someone who has a lot of money and is absolutely worried about what's going on in politics, but they don't have the time to keep up with it. There are a lot more people with money when it comes to politics are a lot more malleable.
I don't even know if it's money. I think it's just some sort of vested interest. It's it's like kids. Like if people have kids, I've heard this a lot. It's like if you got kids and grandkids, they're retired. They're like grandparents. They don't have to worry about it. Because how much longer are they going to live? Like 20 years, right? But they're worried because they want this world to be better for their children and their grandchildren. You know?
I mean.
But there's a lot of reasons. Yeah, it's just, and some people are just, they just don't care. They're like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, because they're worried about themselves. I feel like I had a conversation the other day on Twitter about this, and on Facebook too. Somebody said, I don't care who you vote for. It's a personal choice. And I respectfully disagree with it. It's a progressive. They're really nice, but respectfully disagree. And because it is not a personal choice. Your vote affects someone else.
Yeah, but I agree with that person. It does affect it, but the sanctity of who you vote for is
no. Sanctity of who you vote for. I don't as in I'm not going to ask you who you vote for, but I do care about where you vote. I care about it, and it's not a personal choice. It's personal as far as who you relinquish that information to. But understand, if you vote and it's for a shitty person and it's for selfish reasons, then I don't want to say you're a shitty person, but it was a shitty decision. It was not a good decision. Like, for example, there are people, I knew going in that once Trump became president, if he was elected to office, the stock market would instantly skyrocket. And people were like, why? Well, because if you don't, which actually I'm talking about this on my show tonight, but here's a little sneak peek. If you know anything about the skyrocket, it's not based off of things that have been done. It's not how the stock market works. It's
expectations.
It's speculative. It's expectations. They're like, Trump is going to do exactly what we tell him to, as far as the corporate interests are concerned, because, well, for one, just him alone, corporate interests matter. You got to think about it. The top 1% owns 40% of all the stocks in the stock market. And Trump would obviously be one of those people. So, at that, because you're allowed to invest as a president in the stock market. Obama, that's how he got his millions, was investing in the stock market. But, so at that point, at that time, I could have started investing and throwing money wherever I thought it would be best to, and then voting for Trump and convincing other people to vote for. Because what happens is when now I have a vested interest in it, so now I start rationalizing why it's okay that he's saying some of the stuff that he's saying, doing some of the stuff that he's doing. Yeah, but don't worry about that, man. Because look at the stock market; it's doing really well.
I almost feel like anybody who becomes president or gets close really is just probably some sort of puppet anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, either you're a puppet or you could be controlled. And you don't know it yet, which that was pretty much what happened to Trump. That's what it looked like.
I don't know. Maybe he was controlled. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think Trump was controlled out because Trump ran in 2000. Remember, he ran under the Reform Party. Believe it or not, you know the Minnesota guy. He's super popular. I think he's still a senator.
Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, he encouraged Trump because Trump was a Democrat and he wasn't senile yet. I tell you, Trump's just an old angry dude from New York now.
Where's your degree in psychology? You're calling people senile.
Nah, I'm just kidding. But no, no. I didn't say that. This was 48 psychiatrists who said that the other day. This was in a news report. Oh. Yeah. So,
one thing I realize is that people will say anything if they can get on mainstream media.
Absolutely.
So you just
that's so very true.
And it's just man, don't you have any pride? It's like if CNN tells you, we're looking for somebody to say that Trump is crazy, and they're like, yeah, you know what? I think he's crazy.
But also, so I agree with that, except for if you would have saw those tweets from him, you would have said the same thing. And it was the stuff that he was saying. I was like, why are we making a big deal out of this? People. Then I read the tweets. I was like, oh, there's something wrong with this guy.
What? What did he say?
He said, when I was growing up, one of the things I was best known for was being one of the smartest. I was the most intelligent. And he put a comma, like he separated where he was like, comma, like the most intelligent person growing up. That's what I was known for. It was a weird, that wasn't the only tweet. It was a series of tweets that he made that were totally unnecessary.
Guys, he is president of the United States. You don't think somebody is just like writing his tweets for him?
No, hell no. He didn't.
No, how do you guys know this?
Because people have like a syntax, like it's the same reason your teacher knows if you cheated off your friend. That's not how you write.
Guys, he's president. He has armies of the highest level, like algorithms and staff people. You have smart people who can write like Trump.
Yeah, I could write like Trump.
Don't you think that's more plausible?
It's not, because it's the same person who didn't even have a campaign running his campaign. He just walked around the country yelling at people.
Come on.
You're giving him way too much credit.
I'm not giving him credit. I'm giving his office credit.
You have to understand, this is the same administration who's trying to take his phone away from him. He's not hiring someone to write tweets for him.
You guys think that the president of the United States, now that he's president, is still doing things the same way?
Yes, that's the problem. That's people's biggest issue with him. He is not the brightest bulb in the box. You're giving him way too much credit now. He's just giving him way too much credit. This isn't like Hillary Clinton, who like you can see like she has that and it came out, but
wait a minute.
She has someone writing her tweets. Or even Bernie has people writing his tweets unless it's like a designation that he wrote them. Trump is tweeting the same way now as he tweeted in 2009. Like,
who
it
cares?
didn't change.
You can hire someone to tweet like you.
Yeah, most people would even. Well, no, I wouldn't say that people would hire someone to tweet like you. I would say people would tweet the material and the content that you tweet, but they're not going to tweet. It's almost like to do it on a consistent and regular basis.
I personally find it ludicrous.
There would be no reason for him to do that. Why would he do that?
But Niko,
But why would he do that?
Because
why would he hire someone to do that is what I mean.
Because you need to vet things like that now that you're president, because you could start like...
No, what do you mean vet? He's almost started nuclear wars from his tweets. He doesn't vet shit before he tweets.
What did he start?
There was a huge thing with North Korea.
Oh, come on.
He literally said the other day that... No, I'm telling you what he said the other day. Because I know you was off of Twitter for a while. He literally said, I'm not exaggerating, Kim Jong-un threatened me with his nuclear weapons. And my button is bigger than his, which is weird. I don't know what that has to do with the functionality of the button.
Y'all need to just calm down.
I'm calm. You tripping.
Okay, hold on. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people out there who look at his tweets. I don't know what the hell's going on in North Korea, but I have been told that could very well be a CIA stronghold.
I agree to a degree that it is
so
a CIA
if it's a
I feel like that's why we haven't attacked them yet.
We're not going to have a war with ourselves.
No, yeah, there's no chance of us going to war with North Korea. If we wanted to go
that was all theater.
They have no oil. They have no resources. We're not going to war with them.
That's all theater. And now, did you see South Korea? They're in talks with North Korea, and the South Korean president came out and said something like, I think we should give Trump credit for, facilitating these talks. I smell political bullshit.
Well, of course. There's literally no reason.
And people are like, oh my God, Trump doesn't know what he's doing.
Kim Jong-un is in charge of North Korea because we allow him to be in charge of North Korea.
The guy was educated.
We are right. Our DMZ was right there.
This guy was educated in Switzerland.
Yeah, he's not even he wasn't even born in North
I don't
Korea.
know where the hell.
No, he wasn't. He legitimately was not born in North Korea.
And he likes American basketball. I mean, somebody's North Korea exists because the CIA allows it to exist.
Yeah, I mean, with any regime in a place that we don't like. So that realistically. But what I'm saying is
I don't even know.
He tweets things that it's him. It's most people. Yes, you'd be correct. But you're assuming someone else would do that. This isn't someone else. Clearly.
Anyway, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this because you're speculating, I'm speculating. Nobody's officially coming out to confirm one way or the other.
I mean, Trump.
I disagree with you.
He kind of agreed. He kind of says he says it multiple times.
It's kind of
they ask him about his tweets. He's like, yeah, I tweeted this because of this.
Yeah. But you can't argue with me because it's like arguing about God. Because I'm like a person who's fake, who's on his Twitter account. Mm-hmm. Of course, he would be like, yes, this is me, Donald Trump.
Who? Okay.
So you can't argue.
It's
with
just
it.
weird because like he's never done anything like what he is doing is not out of the norm. What the rational perspective that you are saying, because that is totally rational. That makes perfect sense. Look, he's never done that.
But Ronald Reagan, I found out. I think I read this somewhere. Ronald Reagan, near the end of his presidential terms in office, he was like legitimately like developing Alzheimer's. Okay, but that. People were like running everything.
Well, that's Ronald Reagan, who he permanently put on a facade. That was he was an actor. Like so.
You don't think Donald Trump is? The guy's been on TV. That's like the definition of an actor.
Trump is an actor, but he doesn't put on facades. The guy.
How do you know this?
Okay, so for example, Ronald Reagan tried to pretend like he tried to pretend like he had all the answers, that everything he was doing was altruistic. Like this is for conservatism. This is for XYZ.
I think they're all actors.
This is good for everybody. This isn't Ronald Reagan never said I'm doing this particular policy to hurt black people, or I'm doing this particular policy to hurt. He's like Trump. I want Mexicans out. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I want Mexicans out. Mexicans are this. Mexicans are that. Mexicans are this. He lacks a filter that it's scary, the filter that he lacks, because he lacks he didn't always lack it. It's weird because it's like really over the last 3 or 4 years that it's happened. But he lacks an articulation that could be he could use to create a facade for people.
The immigration issue, I mean, we obviously need to do something about it because the system we have right now is untenable.
Of course. Well, we need to have a legitimate path to citizenship. It has nothing to do with the wall. Yeah. Most people are here because they overstay their visas, and most of the people who overstay their visas are not Mexican. Believe it or not.
Well, yeah.
They're like Eastern European.
But we have people who overstay their visas. And let me tell you something. So I live in an agricultural part of Miami-Dade. Sometimes I see these super colorful, like converted school buses on the roads, and they're filled with farm workers.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many of those people have papers.
No, they get brought down here on. So there's a program that they do with Mexico. Well, I don't. Well, it could be Mexico, but it could be another place.
But Niko, you're going to tell me all the people that are working in the fields are part of this official program?
It specifically, the reason I say in the farm fields is literally because like they are not going to be here permanently. That's why they're kept in groups. That's why they're not allowed to be by themselves. Like they're brought here to be taken advantage of, and then they're sent back.
But I don't even think a lot of the people that I see like working in the fields, I wonder, I mean, I don't even know if they're here like officially.
Most of them are.
Do you know that
North Carolina has we have a deal like that with Mexico
I'm sure they do, but I was reading somewhere that in the real estate industry, a lot of their labor is from like undocumented.
I would say about 95%. That was one of the big things with Trump during the election. So, they're like, I want Mexicans out there. Like, who the hell's gonna build Trump Towers?
So the thing is, like, we have a group of people in the United States that's a shadow workforce.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're being taken advantage of.
They're being taken advantage of. They're being paid like, but we have very powerful industries that feed off of these people.
Yeah, okay, they're the ones who they literally lobby both sides of the aisle to make it so that there's never a resolution. So
I know people are upset that we have a group of folks living in the United States without legal status. They see it as like, we got a fish or cut bait.
I don't really care. I know.
Well, I care. You want to know why I care?
Why? Because they pay taxes. Like these people who are not legal,
it's not a bad situation. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's not a good situation. Also because
I don't think it's a good situation.
They don't have a legal status.
No, I don't think it's a good situation. I just don't care. I think
bad things happen in that community, and they're afraid to go to the cops. I just think it's just not.
Yeah,
it's not a good situation.
So
it's
you're correct about that, but I mean, of course, it depends on what state you live in. But here's the thing, though. It only in that particular scenario, 9 times out of 10 that happens with Mexicans and people who are of darker complexion only. I've never, I know for a fact it's not an issue because I lived in New York and I lived in a huge Eastern European community where they brag about not having citizenship. They're not going to be asked when they walk, because I can go to New York and I just go get my as long as I have a couple of forms of ID, which if you get into a legitimate job, and you just go ask for a state ID, and you have at least one of you can get an ID because they want you to have an ID. Mm-hmm. So when they ask for my ID, I give them my ID, and if I'm a cop, I'm white skinned. I have a Russian accent, so they're like, they don't ask me, "Do you have your papers?" That's not going to be one of the first, because we're not trained to think like that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But like, yeah,
but we had just it's I think it's a very bad situation because I got pulled over because I think I didn't come to a complete stop at a stop sign. I got issued a ticket. I grumbled about it and I paid it, right? But if you don't have legal papers, that can spiral out of control.
Oh no, it does.
And then then you're like a person on the lam. It's just bad thing. I don't think that's a. That doesn't.
It's not a good place for anybody.
It's not a good place for it. And I've tried to be more open-minded. And when people are saying, we got to get the illegals out, I'm like, that grates on my nerves. But I'm going to try.
Yeah, because you know why they're saying it.
But I'm going to try to listen and see what their concerns are. And you can say people who say that are racist or this or that. But there is a grain of truth in the position that we can't have the situation as it is. We can't have a group of folks living in this country without legal status.
Well, there's a difference between saying we need to create a path of citizenship and people need to pursue it or they need to face the consequences, and we need to get the illegals out. The logic and the rationale behind it and the intention is way different.
No.
Because there are legitimately a group of people who think that illegals, undocumented people, are being pushed into here to cause chaos. Like, they're legitimately a group of people.
I think people are a little bit more flexible minded.
No. You're giving too much credit. There's if you go on Alex Jones' channel, for example, who has millions of subscribers, which is disgusting, and because he says this and people believe him. He's like, they're bringing them here to cause controversy, to kill your kids, to do this, to do they agree with him. They legitimately feel like that without realizing that the violent crime rate amongst also because of other circumstances, but the violent crime rate went down. The more it's an opposite. I can't remember what it's called. An inverse reaction. The more they come undocumented, especially as the more opportunity becomes available in the states, they don't want to go to jail and get sent back. They already worked their ass off just to get there. They commit less traffic violations.
Honestly, I think a lot of people who kind of spout off about illegals have they actually are just I think they're just kind of ignorant.
Well, no, those are the same people who say when you talk about crime, they're like, what about black on black crime in Chicago? And I'm they say, what about black on black crime in Chicago? What are they getting at? They're trying to say that that we're prone to kill each other because that's just who we are. Like that, right. Mexicans are staying illegal because that's just who they are. But in a lot of situations, they're not a legitimate path to citizenship, which is why they end up staying.
But I mean, I'm not. People who think that are not going to create the policy. I'm saying it's.
No! You can't say that. You can't say that. That's the problem. That's the hugest problem. You said people that think they don't create policies. This is the same people. There's a senator in one of the Midwestern states, I wish I can remember his name right now, who said that we can't have marijuana, period, because black people can't handle it. This is an elected official. Because you're right. Maybe the majority of them will not ever achieve office, but when someone comes from that community, who's voting for that race? And who are those people going to vote for? Well, they're ignorant. They're going to vote for people that feel comfortable with them.
They've done studies. Okay, they've done there was a Harvard study on acts, not what politicians say to appease their voting base, but the acts of Congress. And what they saw was Congress don't give a rat's ass about what Americans want, regardless of what they want.
At the national level, but not so much at the state level. At the state level,
you mean at the local level?
At the total opposite. It's at the state level. It is the total opposite. They will vote not 100% of the time, but
that's the
the local Democrats are a lot better at voting in the will of the progressives of the community than the national.
Well, that's why
Democrats.
I think people who like certain types of that's why people migrate and blue states become bluer and red states become redder because they're looking.
And the economic opportunity is being depleted because who wants to live around ignorant racist assholes. And then when you are the one out of the 100, I'm not about to stay here with these crazy people. I'm going somewhere where
I remember reading something, I think it might have been Maryland, one of the eastern seaboard states. Some town passed a resolution saying that you don't have to be an American citizen. Mm-hmm. You can still vote in our city's resolution.
I think it was something a little bit, something specific. Like only with that one thing. Yeah.
People in other states lose their shit. They're like, this is unconstitutional. These people are crazy. And I'm like, you need to shut up because they're entitled to do that. We're not talking about national elections.
Yeah, this is.
A town can say we're going to let like everybody vote. Mm-hmm. If you live in our town and you establish residency, you can be
exactly because the states. You can
be 7 years old and you can vote on our town's resolution.
Right. That's the state's right to make that decision.
So absolutely. The thing is, like, if you have some town somewhere,
but it's only state rights when it's restricting. That's how people who pontificate the state rights argument.
Yeah.
They only want limitations. It's states' rights. No, it's not. That's you just. Whenever they want to come up with an excuse why we shouldn't be able to do something, it's states' rights. But when you use it, same argument for that scenario, when it legitimately is the states' rights, it's no, you can't do that. That's against the Constitution. It's weird how they kind of invoke. Is they pick and choose when they want to invoke the Constitution, when they want to invoke.
But people do that. People do that with the Bible.
Yeah.
It's just I'm just gonna pick and choose what I want.
Weirdly enough, they live in the same states.
I think you're.
It's correlation. It's
I see a lot of like, oh God, I see a lot from like, it's mostly the East and West Coast people.
It depends on where in the East.
See, now I'm like painting whole. There are some people who see like religious people and they just automatically assume that they must be like.
I don't think so. I think that because I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I'm not very religious. But
if you gain strength to go from day to day by praying to Jesus, who am I to say I wear a tinfoil hat on my head?
I think that people, for example, you're Catholic, right?
Yeah, I don't. So I haven't gone to mass in a while.
But people don't look at you and like, oh, she's Catholic. She doesn't know. She's not going to use common sense. She's going to have no. They don't, because you don't. You give off the air of critical thinking and intellectual. You can process things logically, and you happen to be Catholic. That's a different scenario than, because what happens is those type of people who base their entire existence off of cultural Christianity, which is what I call it, where you have a set of authoritative rules that have kind of been set as the status quo by your general community, and you always talk about it. You live by it. And every time you see something different, they can't help but call it out. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, oh, you shouldn't be hanging out with those boys by yourself. What does the Bible say in Luke chapter 15? Like, you shouldn't be getting tattoos. What does the Bible say about the? And so at that point, it's like, why are you using what does the Bible say as logic? That is not. If you want to say something about the Bible to inspire something,
people like that still pick and choose because they're like, in the Old Testament it says you shall not ink your body or something. So they're like anti-tattoos. I'm like, why the hell are you at that shrimp buffet? Because the Old Testament says you cannot eat shrimp.
Oh yeah, pretty much all Christians.
It's just like what?
Pork. Like all the Southern Christians love pork too. So
you can't eat pork. That's dirty.
Yeah, but I like it. But it's not. But it's not. It wasn't.
But it's
the
like
problem
they pick and choose. I'm like, you gotta follow the book, good book. You follow the good book, and you probably will find living intolerable.
And you know what's ironic about that? The reason they
popcorn
don't
shrimp.
The reason that they don't. The reason that they eat pork now, and the reason that even
because bacon's good,
they eat the
yum.
What's the common sense? They don't even realize that their brain is subconsciously saying, well, why can't I eat pork? I'm not sick from it. It doesn't kill me. Because back then, it did kill you. There was no way to clean it. There was no sanitation back then.
My mama has an explanation as to why the good book says you can eat beef, but you can't eat pork.
Oh, I'm interested to hear this. I mean, that's why, though. But
she is nuts. But sometimes she says some interesting things. She says to me, Elizabeth, when beef goes bad, it changes color. It turns like red meat turns like brown. She says when pork meat starts to go bad, you can't tell because it stays the same color.
Yeah.
So in the old days, like, you just say don't eat pork meat because you don't know if it went bad.
You literally, and and back then things could go bad like hours.
But beef you can tell.
Yeah.
I don't know about the shrimp.
Oh, by the way, when it comes to, I know you always call your mom crazy. I laugh when you say that because I always think back to this.
People are like, that's so disrespectful.
Psychiatrist.
I'm like, that's a fact.
It's a psychiatrist who's also a philosopher, and he has he's a psychiatrist, a philosopher, and a neurosurgeon, a retired neurosurgeon, and he is saying essentially that we have the way we think of mental disorders, we have it backwards. that what happens is that there's actually in our physical world so much that is going on around us right now. Energy and like things that we can't see, but we can't see them because our brain is actually blocking us from seeing it because we wouldn't be able to handle it. It'd just be way too much going on at once. So what happens is certain brain diseases degenerate those particular parts of your brain in particular blocks. And so they are now seeing it.
Right.
Like people with schizophrenia, which is the easiest example to think of.
Oh, yeah.
Like when they're talking to somebody, we all do that. We do it in our head. We literally talk to different parts of, you know, your happy person, your angry person.
That's what my mom had.
Yeah,
I mean, she still has it. You don't like recover from schizophrenia.
But like we all have it though. Like, and does that mean like?
No, she's very. I studied. I read about.
I mean, now we don't all have schizophrenia.
No,
we have the ability to control it. But I'm saying we all talk to ourselves in our head.
But we all have developed mechanisms that allow us to function in this natural world and procreate and not like die an early death. Whereas perhaps, you know, with schizophrenia, it's an interesting question because I read a lot about schizophrenia.
Well, your brain can't handle it. Like, you can't handle...
But she's a very insightful person.
Exactly. Well, that's because, well, one, it's probably already insightful. But two, it doesn't... Her having schizophrenia does not remove her insightfulness. Like, it doesn't remove her...
Right.
It may influence her logic and why things happen, like, and how they happen, but it doesn't remove how she sees the world. It doesn't change how she sees the world.
I mean, the older I get, the more I appreciate, you know, my mother, although she was, man, I'm not her only child. She had children before me, and like she couldn't keep them alive. Like they died on her.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Yeah, but so she managed to keep me alive because I think a lot of people pitched in. But I read about schizophrenia, and they do this test, and when it's like a Rorschach test or something,
yeah, Rorschach.
And when they show this it's like an optical illusion. When they show it to people without schizophrenia, our brain compensates, and we see what we're supposed to. We see what the picture wants us to see. But when they show this picture to schizophrenics, their brain is not suggestible to whatever the optical illusion, and they actually see the picture for what it is. Yeah,
which I guess that's a basic. Yeah,
it's really interesting.
So that's exactly what we were saying. It's literally your brain is not your brain is. It's like I don't know.
But it makes them kind of dysfunctional, though.
Of course, well, yeah, but here's the thing, and it's crazy to think about it. Because we always say they're not normal, but is it like?
It's more like dysfunctional.
It's
makes them dysfunctional.
Now, I wouldn't even say dysfunctional.
Oh yeah, no, she was dysfunctional.
No, yeah, she's dysfunctional, but by the status quo, by our societal standards, because we all have our brains are all we have the blockage to make us.
We adapted.
Exactly. Well, no. I'm not saying adapt. I'm saying like our brain will physically block us. She sees it like she saw that Rorschach picture for what it was because her brain doesn't have the block anymore.
Right.
So she can do day-to-day activities like, but she's dysfunctional because, like you said, she doesn't have the filter. If she wants to talk to herself out loud, she's going to do it. We see that as really weird. But that's actually a normal process that we go through in our heads that she was just outwardly manifesting because she doesn't have a filter to tell her, yo, that's not okay to do that. People are going to look at you weird. You know what I'm saying? So, but which is interesting because we like to say that that's not normal, but in reality, it is normal. It's just not normal to do it out in public. It's just not normal to literally answer yourself back. But that's what we do. Our brain internalizes the processes. It makes it easier to interact with each other.
Oh man, Niko, if I start talking about my mom, I could talk about it for hours.
But actually, it's almost about that time anyway. So, yeah,
sorry,
thank you.
We're supposed to talk about the lawsuit.
No, we did. We did talk about the lawsuit.
Okay.
But it was actually going to... I intended it
things.
for it to be a comprehensive conversation.
The lawsuit, I'll talk about the lawsuit, but it's...
People love... You guys said people love...
Somewhat of a painful subject.
It's not painful. It's... This is so pessimistic. It's not a painful subject. Well,
that's because y'all are just watching it from the sideline. Well, not you, but like...
It's not painful for me because... We and Liz have actually had this conversation. I'm a very spiritual person. I believe everything happens for a reason. Mostly just because logic kind of tells you that certain things happen when you put.
I just punched you. What'd that happen for?
Because you wanted to prove a point. There you go. See, a point that she didn't get to prove. But no, seriously, like I was saying earlier, Liz Liz and Jared did not have to take that Mayo Clinic case. I did not have to go to their office. And in fact, 99% of the time, I would not have put myself in that situation. I could have been human trafficked. They could have came from Mount Oregon and took me to the Mayo Clinic. You never know. You never know. Luckily, I ended up being like a 6'1" black guy. But if I was like
come into my law office, young man.
That's pretty much what they
did. Are you O negative?
Yeah, it's pretty much what they did.
We need some O negative people.
And I could not have had my background in politics, and I could have had absolutely no interest in law. That could not have ever been a thought on my mind. But like it was one of the I was already in lawsuit mode before I had even come here, and it just so happened.
Well, that's because you had seen all that shit go down.
But that's what I'm saying. But I could not have been down here at all.
Right.
Even if we...
No, that's true. That was coincidence. Because your brother was down here.
It wasn't coincidence. My brother was down here. My best friend's family was down here. Either way, I was going to be down here for spring break. But it was a weird coincidence that my best friend and my best friend's parents and my brother were both stationed down here literally at the exact same time.
That might be coincidence.
And then, of course, like I said, the summary judgment comes, and then the Mayo Clinic situation happens. And like I said, which changed your whole view of what was going on.
Well, we met with you because we were Bernie supporters. If we were not Bernie supporters, we'd be like, who? What?
Yeah.
North Carolina?
But here's even some crazy stuff. Like I said, now, fortunately, you have a huge, you can get access to a lot of different independent media that you otherwise may not have. Oh, thank God. But think about it. Tim Black was kind of popular, but when he did the interview, he was popular in his sect of YouTube. But when he did the interview with me, because I did the interview with Tim the night before I met y'all.
Oh, okay.
And that's me and him started talking more, and we grew a bigger relationship and things like that. And so obviously
Tim's a good guy. Some people hate on him like nothing.
I don't know why. He's way too nice. That's why I tell him you're too nice. That's the problem. But
people hate on everyone.
Exactly.
It's literally.
I'm bro, you hit 100,000 subscribers. What you thought? People are gonna everyone's gonna start loving you? No, you're gonna come up with reasons why they don't like you now. That's what it is. Because it's a way to rationalize why. If I didn't know about him, clearly he's a fake. No, you just didn't click on what it is.
It's kind of like when I went on MSNBC, and it's like the viewers of this show, The Beat. Okay, they don't know about Seth Rich. Mm-hmm. They don't know about the DNC fraud lawsuit. They don't know about any of this. They're just kind of glued to MSNBC, and they're like, who is this person? I don't like her face. And I'm like, I only came on here because they contact me about Trump every so often, and the guy is president now, so I guess it is important to...
You would regret it if you didn't go on later on.
No, that's not true, because I have not returned phone calls if I was in a bad mood. And I'd be fuck you, I'm not talking to you.
But what I'm saying is the timeline of things and how they worked out. One of any of us could have been this is too weird. I'm staying away from it. This is too much. I'm not dealing with it. I want to go back to sleep. I don't feel and everything.
Well, something has to happen to you that really kind of fucks you up personally. So for me, it was supporting a candidate. And you know what? And some people are you're just sore losers. It's not about Bernie not getting the nomination.
Yeah.
I said this before and I'll say it again. If I did not see structural problems, I would have very loyally gone to the polls in November, cast my vote for my party's candidate. Okay, that's how most people have done things.
Yeah, the structuralism.
It's not about. But I chose to support Bernie in the primary, and what I saw the system do was the system buckled because a lot of people were supporting him, and it started to buckle. It's no.
Right in front of our eyes. Yeah.
No, that's not happening. No.
And by the way, when we found each other, people were kind of speculative, but it was nowhere near the unanimous. Holy shit, we're in it. Well,
because you see somebody on Facebook and they're
but
why are there people whiting out ballots?
Yeah, it was just a bunch of questions, and people is this normal? Is this normal?
And I'm that doesn't sound normal, but who the hell are you?
Yeah,
and then you hear other things.
Then you're hold up. Were they supposed to the caucuses? People are is that supposed to happen?
Right? They're why?
Is this supposed to happen?
They're why is? I mean, but these are random people who show up to these.
Yeah, who could be paranoid because they really want Bernie Sanders to win, right?
So I remember I was reading things about caucuses, and they're there's a person here, and she's stuffing paperwork into a garbage bag and running off with it. Is that supposed to happen?
Yeah. I remember in the Iowa caucus when Bernie had won, and then the superdelegate count got added to it, and all of a sudden the count went over to like 51%.
Oh, you're talking about
50%.
the convention?
Yeah. No, not the convention. I'm talking about at the very first Iowa caucus.
Oh gosh, I don't.
They tied. They tied the Iowa caucus, and then they gave her the superdelegate count, and that was the first time I was like, what the fuck is a superdelegate, and how the hell did she just automatically get him? That's how they determined that she won the Iowa caucus, was because of superdelegates. And when I brought that up,
that's very strange. I thought superdelegates weren't supposed to be counted until the convention.
Exactly, but we didn't know anything at the time.
I didn't even know what a superdelegate was.
I was like, oh, this must be a new thing. I didn't know about that. How weird, whatever.
I'm like,
but
what the hell is
when I
superdelegate?
first said
that sounds super.
People were like, nah, like kind of casually. I'm sure it's normal.
Sure it's fine.
It's normal.
They wouldn't do anything.
I kind of like, and I wasn't like, I didn't like play it off. I just was like, okay, if it's normal, then it is what it is, because that went way better than we expected.
Well, no, we
were like optimistic and like, wow, I can't believe he was even this close.
And honestly, Niko, I just assumed that these enormous institutions like the DNC probably did things in a kosher fashion. They wouldn't do anything untoward and outrageous.
Well, I don't think not outrageous. Yeah, I thought they would do things like sneaky, like politicians do, like in politics. But I didn't think they would do like what we saw. So but here's my point though. Here's my point. When we all finally kind of decided to meet, when we started having these conversations, we could have all thought we were a little weird. Like, we could all like, yeah, they're just paranoid. Because Tim did not have to have me on his show after what had happened in North Carolina. Yeah. What had happened in North Carolina, luckily, it wasn't at first. People thought, half and half. People thought it was crazy. They thought that the things that I was saying, how could I have known this? I'm a kid. Nobody would trust me with that type of information. Nobody would give me information.
Weren't you getting like threatening calls from like Democratic operatives?
Yeah, they tried it.
They're like,
didn't work out well.
This isn't going to turn out well for you, young man.
But
you want to rise in the Democratic Party, you need to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, whenever they called me, I could have thought they were weird. I could have thought that Tim was.
We are weird.
Yeah, they are. But they were right.
I must be weird to like take on these cases.
Tim could have. You know how many people had a chance to talk to me but did not take the story? AKA Jordan Cheriton, the Young Turks in general, had multiple times to talk to me. U.S. News kept saying that we didn't have a
U.S.
smoking. U.S. News, U.S. Uncut, excuse me.
Oh,
no offense.
US
He kept,
Uncut.
he was nice and he kept, he talked to me often.
U.S. Uncut imploded.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know why.
They said something like, somebody hijacked our Facebook page.
They did. Somebody hijacked their website.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was
it was a big deal. But a lot of, Washington Post ignored us with that particular story. A lot of people ignored us, and Tim was the first one to be like, we need to talk about this. And then he gave me that. We were on the, for about 3 to 4 hours talking about this entire situation.
I think Tim is fairly open-minded. He'll have different guests on his show, and he gets hated on for it.
But at that time,
because he had Donna Brazile on his show. I don't know I didn't see it. I didn't have a chance to see it, but people were piling on.
But at that time, he didn't have any any controversial I was like the first controversial person on that in the show in that political cycle, and so that was a huge bet for him to take. That I knew what I was talking about and that I wasn't full of shit. Right, because you can be some crazy person off the street. Because there's a lot of those people, you know what I'm saying? And especially right now, because it's become profitable, but that's a different discussion. Just to make stuff up, right? There's a lot of people who are like that. But I don't want. There are other independent journalists who that now try to consider themselves the super lefters, if you will. Do you believe in aliens? That's a different discussion for a different day. But there's hold on. The super lefters, there's some people that y'all think are radical who, whenever I first came out with this information, they refused to have me on their show. They would kind of talk about it a little bit, but they didn't want me to go into detail because they didn't want to seem like they were courting crazy conspiracy theories. So but the fact that we all found each other and the fact that we've been able to get this far, everybody's a lot. This is live, isn't it? Yeah. Oh man, talked about aliens. Well, I mean, aliens is no. I'm not saying I believe in aliens. I just talk to people who believe in them. That's why I just. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of my smart friends do believe in aliens because all I have to do is have a perfect circumstance, and then another life form can exist. So it depends on what you consider alien. Reincarnation. Anyway, sorry. But so the point is, I'm a very positive person. I'm optimistic person, but in reality, I am a realist. And when I see a pattern occurring, which is what is most important, I start to acknowledge it, and it kind of like gives me relief. Probably because I have ADHD. So whenever I see patterns, I'm like, oh, thank God, easy route. And so
you also talk a mile a minute and talk about the same topics, which is really good when you're obsessive. Because I right now I'm on certain topics and I won't shut up about them. But you keep talking about it to enough people, and 9 people out of 10 will be like, you're full of shit, but the 10th person will listen, right?
Yeah, and then the 10th person will talk to their friend and be like, hey, man, you should really listen to that. And because of the trust of that person, then the next person will listen. That's why I say you put enough, you got to be careful.
But you get 9 people out of 10 will shut their door in your face.
Nah, the first time. That's how it always works. That's how it worked with Google. They said Google was stupid. They said Amazon was also stupid. They said that Bitcoin is stupid, by the way. They say, every time they say something is stupid, look what happens.
Man, I remember 20 years ago, somebody's told me, music, it should be in digital format. That's the way to get music. And I was ordering music on CDs, and I remember looking at this person and be like, that sounds stupid. And I was wrong. Yeah, because he was like, no, because I was like very young, right? And I was ordering my music on CDs. God, I can't remember was it BNG service? It was like, and this guy was like, I don't pay for music. I get it off was it Napster? And he was like describing.
Well, if you didn't pay for it, it would be off of LimeWire at the time.
No, it was even before LimeWire. We're talking old. What was the first?
LimeWire and Napster came out at the same time.
Okay, what was even before Napster? Was there something before Napster?
The first it would be iTunes. It would legitimately be iTunes because like
the music share, file share.
Yeah, well, there was like the first major that anybody would know about.
But he was describing getting music in a digital format, and he wasn't paying for it. But he was like getting in a digital format.
Yeah, it wasn't Napster.
And I remember looking at it and be like, that sounds stupid. I love my CDs. And
now you can't even fathom Karen.
Now I'm like, boy, I was kind of behind the 8 ball on that one.
Well, yeah, there's 2 types of people in the world. There are pessimists and there are, successful people. That's just how it works. If you go into your job, your court hearing, your business thinking about all the reasons why it will fail, then of course it's going to fail because that's how you rationalize. If you go into something thinking about all the reasons why something will succeed, then you're going to succeed.
And I go into court and I'm like, this case.
I hope you don't go into court like that.
No, I'm like, this case, it's gotta win.
Oh, you got to do that. Well, yeah, with this specifically.
At some point, and that's
how I feel. That's how I feel about.
At some point, I'm just gonna stop.
What? Stop what?
I'm not an idiot. If the court system is not, I don't.
Well, but once again, you have to. The court system is malleable, and that's the reason why you and Jared hate it so much.
It is not malleable.
And no. Let me finish. It is very much so malleable. It is malleable by money. It is malleable by influence. It is malleable by political affiliation. It's malleable by corruption. And so, all the reasons that we cannot stand the court systems are the exact reasons why it's legitimately. It's legitimate to believe that in a big case like this, you could actually use that to your advantage. I don't even want to complain about civil side. Like the criminal side. The criminal side is a little bit different. The criminal side is the criminal side is profit. It's literally about profit. So there's like this, and until we change the way that the legal system makes, people are making money off of our criminal justice system, and I think that's a real corruption of the purpose of why we have a criminal. Yeah, I feel like I know like taxes have something to do with it, but also to offset the amount of money they don't get, but they're getting starved. But to get, and so what they start doing. I BS you not, people in Georgia. I got a traffic ticket. It was kind of like a racist thing. Whatever. I've gotten past it, but. Pulled me over without proof. I asked to see the speedometer or the radar. He pulled out his gun and told me to get out the car. I'm not joking with you. Niko. Listen. So that's kind of. I was like, why react like that? And partially maybe the dude was kind of. But when I told him I was a veteran, luckily it kind of calmed things down because he was too. Now I'll go to the courtroom, which is just literally a conference room. This town was starved broke. Let me tell you how much people were getting hit for with a late registration. You know, usually if you have late registration, you go and show the court. In Miami, they're like, I don't want to deal with this. This isn't worth the time. You're good. Bye. Have a good time. There, I mean, yeah, you still had to get your registration updated, but then you're going to have to pay $750 in a fine. Now, that is not, for anybody who lives in a normal town, that is not a normal thing. I left a courtroom where literally no one had a fine that they did not have to make payments on. Then, just to make payments, they put you on a voluntary probation where you have to pay an extra $50 a month every month that you
it's kind of like,
pay off.
I'm telling you, man. Look, it's like these towns. In this case, it's a town, but sometimes it's an institution. It's a system.
Well, the entire state of Georgia is crazy.
They're starved, and it's like we're rabbits, and they're like half-starved alligators waiting. And they're like,
yep.
You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But they're starved, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it, but it's like,
I mean, starving is
some
relative.
of the time they put themselves in that situation. Because, like, yeah, they're starved, but then it's not just necessarily the quote-unquote justice system as in the legal institution, but then you have the other side, the police side, where they want to keep employing people. They want to still keep collecting their checks. They want their retirement to be there. They want, better benefits. And the more which they're probably more dangerous, because they put you into the justice system.
Yeah,
so when they get starved, all of a sudden, which is, I believe, has a lot to do with this recent marijuana push or anti-marijuana push. Yeah, he says it's about, like, good people don't smoke marijuana and all that. I don't think it's about that.
Did he go to a Yale Law School party?
I'm pretty sure he did. I mean, the dude's not an idiot. He's saying what he's being told to say. Like,
see, there would have been a time.
Think about how much money the police departments are making now. They're just pulling everybody over.
There would have been a time when I was 16 and stupid when I probably believed in me, like, yeah, good people don't do drugs.
I wouldn't say good people don't do drugs, but I would think that marijuana was bad for you.
I'd be like, if you're breaking the law, you need to go to jail. That's probably what I thought until I realized that
the laws are kind of bullshit.
They're only selectively enforced.
They're selectively enforced and they're selectively written. In some cases, like in
some cases they are selectively
like
written.
The fact that the best example to think of is tobacco is legal, but marijuana isn't.
Right.
Like it's like you have something legal where you now have to round the package in 90% of the countries who sell tobacco. This will kill you. That's legal, but marijuana isn't. Pharmaceuticals are legal, but a lot of the FDA refuses to approve other forms of medication that literally do no harm to you.
It's because if you look at the FDA, I haven't really looked at
FDA's corrupt. It's not even
I haven't really looked at
it. It wasn't created. They make it seem like it was for our safety.
Yeah.
But it was actually created to regulate who can compete with the pharmaceutical industry. That's why it was created. Yeah.
Well, if you look at the FDA officials, I think they come from Big Pharma.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, we're kind of screwed there. So,
do
one step at a time.
About the law?
Yeah, I would say, does anybody have any questions about the lawsuit? I feel like
you and I are just kind of like shooting the whatever.
Somebody said, tell Sessions just a tree of knowledge from the Bible.
Well, that's interesting.
I mean, kind of. Hey, the Bible did not say anything about smoking weed. I'm going to put it like that. I actually call weed Jesus' plan. Because, I mean, like, you're not hungry because you're nauseous. It's okay. Smoke some weed. You'll be fine. You wide awake? Smoke some weed. You'll be tired.
But
you in pain? Smoke some weed. You'll be healthy. You at least temporarily.
Well, the thing is, like, I continually mention the fact that when I was at law school, I saw people smoke a lot of weed, and it kind of blew my mind. I'm like, aren't they supposed to be in jail?
I was in a Bible thumper state, so actually, believe it or not, it was like very rare for people to do drugs.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Not anymore. It's way different.
But I'm like, no, I know, but I'm like, now I feel like nobody should be in jail over that crap, because I was talking to somebody and like it helps him like go to school and function and pay attention in class.
Yeah,
and he's a functional person. So
because it calms them down. Weed is like Adderall. It affects, depending on how you you're chemically processed.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're one of those people who can drink coffee, like I drink coffee and I kind of get like tired. It was weird. I didn't even understand that, because you know what, I used to tell my mom that, she would laugh at me. Like, she's like, that's not true. And like, whenever I would drink soda, I would get really sleepy when I was young. And I didn't know, like, why? And because when she was like, you're not going to drink Coke, you're going to be bouncing off the wall. I'm like,
caffeine,
what are you talking about? I thought
caffeine had a calming effect on you.
Yeah, I used to think she was being sarcastic when she said that. And I was like, no, it's not. What are you talking about? Just give me the sodas. You're going to be up all night. No, I'm not. And I legitimately, and my brother, well, he never argued with my mom like that until he got older. But but it wasn't making any sense, because all the things that she was saying didn't apply to me. And then I heard other people starting to say that as I got in class and stuff like that. Y'all, you kids can't have candy. You'll be bouncing off the wall. Y'all can't have soda. You'll be bouncing off the wall. I'm like, where is that coming from? Because I was already bouncing off the walls. So exactly, and it would make me tired. Even right now, if I drink soda, like a big bottle like Coke or Mountain Dew, I'll get sleepy.
Don't drink that; it's bad for you anyway.
Of course,
it's like all sugar.
So then, of course, as I got older, I became more self-aware, and I realized like clearly there was something different.
Yeah.
Then I started doing research, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Because I was reading about ADHD medication, and they're actually like caffeine and stuff. They're like uppers, right?
No, they're uppers.
They're stimulants. Yeah. They're stimulants.
I actually got into I took it it was a little irritating. It's one of those people who are like pessimists. They think they have all the answers by saying that nobody has any of the answers and that everybody's wrong and everybody's exaggerating. They're like, ADHD is one of those made-up things that nobody really has, but da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, that is the stupidest. I was like, why? Why is that?
Why
you even know what ADHD is?
Just because they don't have
It's just an attention problem. Like, see, you don't even know what ADHD is, because when you become an adult, it actually isn't an attention issue. It's this much of an attention issue. And it's even this much of a hyperactivity. I don't have hyperactivity. As an adult with ADHD, my hyperactivity doesn't outwardly manifest. Look, it actually is internal.
And what happens they're very binary. They're like, it's either yes or no. It's kind of like being born colorblind.
You can be different types of colorblind.
Yeah, but let's say you're just like one type of colorblind. You're like, you know what? The color green is bullshit. I don't think you see the color green because, I don't see it. And you're like, no, you're just colorblind. It's like the same thing. It's like ADHD is made up. That's because you don't have it. Yeah, it's like, but the thing is though, if you would take the time to sit down with somebody who actually had it, that's kind of like, have you ever talked to somebody? I talk to people with ADHD. I said, I didn't say like, do you talk to, because you probably do and don't know it, but I'm like, have you sat down and tried to actually understand what that means? Yeah, it just means attention. I'm like, that is literally like a 15th of what ADHD is. Do you know why I have attention problems or why a person with ADHD? All I know.
Because you have anxiety that comes with a lot of, because they always say that ADHD is overdiagnosed, and it's the opposite. Anxiety, people will get prescribed anxiety medication for ADHD.
I bet there are lots of different. I mean, all I know is that the human brain is so complicated.
Yeah, it's true, but like there's
all types of.
I could sit down with somebody for like 30 minutes, and I could tell you like, do you have legitimate anxiety or do you have ADHD? Like, because anxiety is a huge part of ADHD. Yeah, hyperactivity is a huge part, but in kids it's a huge part because you don't have inhibitions. Because you don't care about what people. But when you're an adult, you have hyperactivity, and you actually refuse to outwardly manifest it because you're worried about being judged, because you've been training yourself this whole time. So what happens is then it makes you exhausted
and anxious.
You're anxious, and you get tired before it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and then so because of the anxiety, you get and then people with ADHD, because they're usually really really smart, they're actually natural perfectionists, and because of the anxiety and the perfectionism, they don't want to do anything. Like, you get excited about doing it, you want to do it, but then you know about the problems that you get with ADHD, which is like misspelling things, forgetting things, like little things, and then you don't want to do it. It's like crippling anxiety. But when you get that anxiety, people misdiagnose it as just anxiety. So they just give them like Xanax.
So they look at the symptom. Yeah.
So exactly, instead of like sitting down with them and trying to understand where it comes from and what's going on through their process, like how they got to that point. Because I realized, because I was trying to understand why the anxiety was happening, or for people, like why was it crippling to intelligent people. It didn't make any sense. And then, like, of course, through trying to understand why I did it, like, why? You know, like, oh, well, because usually when you have ADHD, you're good at a lot of shit. Like, you are really, that's like a really common thing. They say, like, Leonardo da Vinci, all of them had ADHD, because what were they known for? We only know about the things that they finished. But they didn't finish pretty much anything, except for, like, the 1 or 2 things that they fucking finished. But they were good in math, science, they played instruments, they were artists, they were writers, because they were good at it. But the problem is, when something doesn't go your way, you don't want to do it anymore. You're like...
That's like Jared when he plays a board game.
Yeah. That's why Jared gets so irritated. I tell Jared all the time he has ADHD.
You know, when he was younger, the family would play a board game, and if he doesn't win, he would do earthquake. He'd be like... And then
I did that too one time.
He doesn't do that anymore.
But he does it, but not in that way though. He still does it, but it's not. He doesn't do it in that way.
Right, he doesn't do it because it's not appropriate for an adult to like flip the board.
Exactly. Like whenever he locks himself into that room.
I think he goes on Twitter and he screams at people.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
Like, so whenever he has to work and he's like says, "Oh, y'all are being too noisy. Y'all are being too loud." So I have to go into what he's saying is like y'all don't even like irrational, maybe the girls, but when he gets mad about it, he's actually getting mad at himself because he can't process.
No, he gets
in
distracted.
That environment.
He
gets distracted. But like there are people who I know, like my best friend can sit. He can have games going on, all kinds of stuff going on in the background. And
see, Jared can't do that.
Hell no, I can't do it either. I can't. Say it could be perfectly quiet in this room, and there's a leaf. Just doing this, not making any noise. I can't be in this room.
You know, Jared is the only person in the entire house who has his own like room. Everybody else, like my kids double up. I don't have a room. I just have a table.
And they're ridiculously smart. He processes multiple like levels of logic all at once. They catch on to things fast. They can complete people's sentences fast. Like me and Jared. Like if y'all ever seen me and Jared, exactly.
Did you work well with roommates?
Oh no. Oh no! I had one roommate in my entire life, and the only reason it worked out is because it just happened to be because he was a total opposite of me. So whereas I had ADHD, he would hyper focus to the point where he could tune me out.
Oh, okay. Like, so he was just like...
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we only had to be roommates for a year, and it wasn't going to be permanent. So that's all. It's like something that... But like roommates, no, could not do it. I went out of my way in the military to the point where I got in trouble for dodging having roommates in my barracks.
Damn.
Yeah, because I just can't... Because I'm hypersensitive and hyper empathetic and super sympathetic, so I expect you to be able to have common sense and understand what pisses me off.
You would make a scary boot camp instructor.
Yeah, probably would. I would be like super nice, but I'd be like super like, because back in the day, especially when like I was like very logical, but what I didn't understand the nuance of life. I didn't have experience yet. Yeah. So everything was either you do it or you don't. Either you know how to do something or you don't know how to do something, and it's not like life doesn't work like that. But when school came easy to me, I hated when people asked the teacher questions multiple times. But that's normal in life.
Yeah.
It's normal in life. Like, but I hated it. I couldn't because I didn't understand. I'm like, it's easy. Why are you asking? Because I heard her. I was literally, mind you, I'm writing my paper, talking to my friends, doing whatever, and I heard what she said, and I can understand it, so why can't you? I used to hate when my teacher wanted to make me...
That's why I think you should be a boot camp instructor, because I think
that'd be bad.
But probably not teach elementary school, because elementary school kids...
No, believe it or not, me and elementary school kids, like younger kids, like with the girls, like we get along great.
That's because you talk to them different. Like if they ask you the same question 4 times, you're very patient.
But that's
because they're like small. No, actually, so I think
they don't ask me. It's not because it's not about asking me the same question 4 times, but it's because I understand how they're processing it. So like if they ask me something about their game or they do something, and most people were like, "What?" Get irritated, and I'm like, no, because I understand exactly why I did it, and so that's why I don't trip about it. But also, they listen to me more often because I know even though they may ask something or do something, the action really isn't as important as why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And why they're not going to listen to the person who tells them not to do it. If like specifically with Vesper, I'm really good at explaining something to her and her listening. Then obviously Miffy is younger, so it's a little bit harder. But with Vesper, Me and Vesper get along great.
Ooh.
And Vesper doesn't get along with anybody.
Vesper hurt Jared's feelings, like really bad.
Vesper always.
She called him a weirdo. And I'm like, you learned that on YouTube. It's probably like some SpongeBob
You
thing.
let them watch YouTube way too much.
No, it's YouTube Kids.
Did you know who was also on YouTube Kids?
Who?
Logan Paul, the guy in the suicide forest who recorded the dead body in the suicide forest. He's in trouble though, but yeah.
You know.
But yeah,
maybe some people have issues with my. But you know what? Vesper taught herself how to read on YouTube Kids.
Yeah, no, Vesper taught herself a lot on YouTube.
She taught herself how to read.
I remember whenever she was typing something.
I was like, I've never flashed a card at you, and now you're reading.
Yeah,
because she's on.
I was like, how did you know how to? She was like, yeah, it says da 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 da. I was like,
but it's because like,
how the hell did you?
But Niko, it's because she's on these like Roblox things, and she's really motivated to read the instructions.
Yeah, to play her video games.
Because she wants to play games. She's like, there's these words showing up, and she's like, you can choose. And
she wants to be the best at the video games. She don't half-ass the video games. This is like life for her. She takes her video games so serious.
But some of those games are really interesting. There was one game where you take these blocks and you build structures, and I'm like, wow, that's really good. I think it's really wonderful for spatial reasoning, because I wasn't doing that at her age.
Yeah,
it's very good spatial
anything.
But it's just like
we had Sesame Street.
But she was building I'm like, she was.
Oh yeah, our kids are going to be super intelligent. She's not going to have any common sense. That's pretty much what's going to happen. Like they're going to have like every type of like reasoning, like logical reasoning ability. Whatever they decide to hone in on at a young age, they're going to be like phenomenal. She's going to have common sense.
I'm going to teach her how to sew.
Did you hear that, people? She just said she's going to have common sense. I'm going to teach her how to sew.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
That is not how I would start my first conversation about common sense.
Okay, how do you define common sense?
So like, for example, their babysitter. Her daughters are mean to the babysitter. Like, they're mean to everybody. They're relatively... Okay, so I'll say this. They don't respect her as an authority.
Okay, you know what?
They're not necessarily mean, but they don't respect her as an authority.
Let me tell you something. I got to get something out there now that you're talking shit about my kids.
I'm not talking shit about them. They're kids.
Okay,
but
let me tell you something. My kids... So I had a recent PTA... I don't want to do a brag fest about my kids, but
you got to do a brag fest about your kids. Your kids.
I don't want the show to be about like bragging my kids, but I went to a PTA thing, right? And I'm like, are there any behavior problems at school?
They're the nicest girls ever at school.
And the teacher's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you sure?
Usually how it works.
And she's like, no, there's no issues. And she's like,
you were like trying to get it out of her. Are you sure? Blink twice.
I'm like, doesn't talk back or nothing. And the teacher's, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Because but the teacher's like, no. And she brought her report card. And like, there's no behavior issues. I'm like,
but she's really shy though.
Who, Vesper?
Yeah, like
no, she's sociable, but she comes home.
She's sociable after she knows.
She comes home, and she's calling Jared a weirdo. She's telling me that I'm stupid, and she wants another mommy.
Well, she's also your daughter, and she's a kid. But you also have to understand though. Even though it's different because in school, I've noticed something about Vesper.
It's probably better that she does it at home.
Yeah, it is. Partially. But there's a problem with that, though. I'm explaining to you why, though. Because it's not going to happen now. It's not going to be like a educational thing or even like a grade thing. It'll be how she treats people she's comfortable with later on in life. Because you really, like, the worst someone would treat somebody is how they will treat their parents. Because that is the person, at the end of the day, you don't care. At the end of the day, I'm your son, and you're going to love me regardless. So if I walk into a house and my girlfriend is just like treating her mom like garbage, I like, oh no, you can't do that. Or treating her dad like just talking to him however they want to, like, no, you can't do that.
I disagree, because you want to know why? Because the way Vesper treats Jared now is apparently how Jared treated his parents when he was about like 12 or 13. Okay. He'd be like in his room, door shut, leave me alone. But you know what? He's really nice to them now.
Well, yeah, but that's like way older though. Yeah, but I'm saying, but that's also fortunate because he grew up.
But it's
there was
not
nothing bad. But what I'm saying, but with girls,
but it's not like he hit him.
But girls are different. Like Guys, yeah, it's similar, but with girls, it's way different because of how quick things can go south. When it comes to like Jared and his dad, for example, they cannot get along and they just won't talk. There won't be like a big spout.
Don't they get along?
No, I know. I said, but no. I'm saying if they didn't, like with men and with their fathers, we get along. We just won't talk. Like we may argue every now and then. We're not gonna. But with women, and when they don't get along with their mom, it's like they are seeking out reasons to kill each other.
How do you know this?
I have sisters.
Oh.
I have friends, and I am observant. Like I see it over and over and over again. I'm
going to contradict you because my mother and I coexist 2 counties away, and we don't have to talk to each other for a while. And
we coexist 2 counties away,
and we don't talk to each other for a while. She's good, I'm good. You know,
but
I
you even admit that sometimes, like the way you process social situations and how the level of reaction you should give to them is not necessarily the right one, not right all the time, because your mom didn't teach you to do that. She couldn't teach you to do that.
Yeah.
So,
but that's not a gender issue. Complex PTSD.
No. I'm not talking about a gender issue, but I'm saying like, so as another example, I have just like, so for me,
is this interesting to anybody?
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it, but I'm always like,
it's this is what we talk. It's mi casa es su casa, not get the hell out of my house. But and plus, like I said, so it's but with my mom, because she never really processed things emotionally. Oh no, actually, I give a better because it's funnier. So my mom's excuse for
are you gonna get in trouble for this?
No. We talk.
Why
me and
my
my brother tell her it's her fault all the time. So we have this really bad habit, which I luckily have grown out of recently. When I give a directive to pretty much anybody, but usually in my relationships, because obviously it's a little bit different, or even to like my niece or my nephew or my cousins, when I tell you to do something and you're like, well, why? I'm like, because I said so. Don't act like, why are you asking me why? I am your authority. Don't question me. We get that from my mom because in her mind, that was her response for literally everything. She didn't want, which I kind of get it because we were men. It made sense. And like she was a single mom trying to raise 2 boys. But if she would explain that later on in life, it would have been a little bit helpful. But she didn't until we brought it up to her. And then she was like, oh, well, this is why I do that.
Because she was busy.
Yeah, of course.
But sit down and be like, let me tell you.
But here's the problem with that.
Why you shouldn't play with the hot stove.
I went off the assumption everyone should know why I'm telling them it's wrong. Or why I said don't do that, or why I said bring it to me, or why I said this. And 2, don't question me because I'm your authority, and that's why you shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. But that's not real life, and that's not how you should most times raise your kids, because then I became really cut and dry with my authority. If I didn't trust you as an authority, I just wasn't going to listen to you, period, because I knew that I couldn't question you in my mind without getting into an argument, because that's what would happen with me and my mom. And so going forward, it was I just either ignore the authority, but if I respected the authority, rarely did I ever question it. So now, but that was a problem. But now, like with emotional processing, for example, my mom was not an emotional person for her reasons. She had a lot of reasons why. And so because of I thought I was actually going to be super like able to process my emotions outwardly. Because I was like, my mom doesn't do it, and I've recognized that at a young age. Right. So I don't want to be like that.
Okay.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter if I still can't. I can tell someone exactly how I feel about something. I can tell them exactly what I say in the most passionate, beautiful words ever. But it comes out monotone. Because I just don't know what it sounds like to naturally do that. I don't have that. I guess it's like inhibited, if you will. Because my mom went out, I don't say she went out her way to do it, but that's how when my mom's happy, she sounds just about the same as when she's mad. She doesn't get too, she's even killed. She doesn't get mad. I had to get her really mad, or she has to be really, really happy for her to get.
What makes your mom really happy?
Seeing my nephew. And then having me and my brother in the same place at once. So that so it's like a clear difference. Yeah, because we know it never happens anymore. All of us haven't been in the same place for 3 years. So,
you didn't do that for Christmas?
We couldn't. My brother had to, and I'm talking about including my nephew too. My nephew was in Texas because my brother just got back off deployment. I was Oh, no, I couldn't because Susie had to work, and I have to have somebody to watch the kids, so the fur babies. And so, like, it just didn't work. And she couldn't get down because just her schedule wasn't... She wanted to see my brother because he had just got off deployment, and she hadn't seen him. So it just...
We should make that happen. 3 years.
We're gonna make it happen.
Make it happen.
But that's like when she's happy. She doesn't get really mad about anything with me anymore,
Niko,
but
you should make your mom happy more often than I go on vacation.
I do make my mom happy.
No, I mean like happy in that way you just said. Which
yeah,
is
but it's like
having everybody together.
It's very... Oh, well, that's hard, though, because I don't, like, travel and we live far. And my nephew is a big wrench. I love him to death. But
how old is he?
He's like 2. So, like, she always is going to go see my nephew, which I'm okay with because she's grandma. And, like, she helps out my brother a lot. And my nephew needs, like, a female figure like her in his life because she teaches him a lot. And so, we love my mom to death. I learned a lot from my mom. But I also can recognize, like, what I miss because of what she missed. And now she doesn't get too mad about anything, which is good. Or at least she doesn't really show it. She can rationalize a lot better. Yeah. But that was something that I learned through...
is she retired? I'm just curious.
No, my mom is 48.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mom's super young. So, but the thing is, we have to learn... We have to really be self-aware and be aware of how we affect others. That's why I'm like really good with kids, because I understand. I will look at the parents and I will look at, their environment. I'll hear how they talk about kids at school or what upsets them in school. And like, of course, it's like a really fast process in my mind, and I know how to react to a child at that point. So like when Vesper, she did something to me when I first came to your house. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't nice. Miffy was always kind of really nice to me. She would just either be shy or she would just be nice.
She asks about you once in a while.
Yeah, I know. I miss him. I ain't gonna see him.
But Vesper doesn't. That's just.
No, she's just busy in her own little school.
Is that why you brought that kitten over?
No.
Because
Vesper. No, I didn't.
Let me tell you something. Vesper loves that cat so much.
I know.
I think sometimes I swear to God, I think she loves Sugar more than she loves me.
Well, yeah, she's a 6-year-old girl. Of course she does. Not really, literally,
she's
but.
Like,
But here's what I'm saying.
She has made it very clear she loves that cat more than the family dog, and she's like, "Let's get rid of the dog." I'm like,
"Oh my god!"
She's like,
"So
because my dog's like big and doesn't move."
Here's what's funny about that. Well, first, so with Vesper, she said something to me, but it was disrespectful, and I like nipped it in the bud immediately. But that's because
that's fine.
Well, yeah, of course, and I know you would be okay. It wasn't like crazy or anything like that. I was just very stern.
Well, she should learn that different people have different tolerances for nonsense.
Exactly, but she had learned that really up to that because she goes to the babysitter.
Because she'll push you because obviously it was nipped in the bud at school, so she didn't pull any stunts at school.
That's what I'm saying. It was, and so because that means she learns fast, but if you don't teach her, she probably knows. But she will still like push you.
You know what?
Because she's a button pusher. Vesper's a button pusher. She pushed some damn. But she's smart. She's super. But here's my thing. You notice Liz and Jared, neither of them have filters. Vesper and Miffy, not worse. They have no filters. And it's not even. And here's how you know it's not. If they're not being like vindictive. Like there's people who are vindictive, so they just want to get a reaction out of you. They will look at you with a straight face and tell you exactly what they think they feel at that time. It won't even get emotionally, like they won't yell about it. They yell, but it's usually about some nonsense. But like whenever they're trying to have a serious conversation with you and tell you exactly how they feel at that time, they will look at you with a straight face and then just walk right away. And I'm like, y'all crazy.
Well, that's why. No, we were at a friend's place hanging out, and in Vesper's defense, I think Jared needles her because he'll go. She's like doing something, right? She's playing with her dolls.
Vesper and Jared are a lot alike.
They're very alike. And he'll come over and he'll be like, "Give Daddy a kiss." And she's like,
he's like, my space. She's like, my space.
She's like,
They're both space people. They don't like people invading. Jared is the exact same way.
Yeah, but I'm like, Jared, you don't like it when you're in your room and I open the door. You turn around, you snarl at me. You're like, close that door. I'm in the middle of something. And you're like, why are you surprised that your daughter gets irritated because you come over and she's playing with her dolls and you're like pestering her? And she called him a jerk and a weirdo. And I know some people are like, oh, that's just bad parenting. You shouldn't let her get away with that. But, in her defense, he was pestering her. And he asked her, he's like, why were you so mean to me the other day? And she was very honest. She was like, because you were bothering me, Daddy.
Damn, Vesper she's
like,
very straightforward. But that's once again the good thing, because they're very open with Vesper and Miffy. So like if they have a question about something they did,
this isn't necessarily I don't think there's a right way. Okay, I think there are certain wrong ways to raise children.
I think there are wrong ways, but there's not really right way.
But there's really no one right way.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just really, you gotta
you know what?
take the time to understand
My
your
kids are not like
biting
other kids. They're not giving the teacher a hard time.
And they're sweet, and they're really,
and
really sweet.
You know,
they when they feel like they can trust you.
Although they did break the TV.
Which one? In the living room?
You know.
Oh.
Can we talk about my TV? So when Jared and I got married in 2004, I got a TV at like Best Buy, and I got like a cheap $100 TV.
Yeah, of course.
I don't even think you've seen TVs like this, Niko. They're like.
My mom used to work at Best Buy in 2004, so I absolutely saw them.
No, but like really a long time ago. I'm talking 2000.
Yeah, my mom worked at Best Buy since 1997, so I was literally living.
So you know those TVs that are like boxes?
Yeah.
They stick out in the back like this.
They call it SCD.
And this was about like, it wasn't even that big, right? But we got it, and
that was big back then, though.
It was big, but I didn't even get like the expensive. I toted that. Oh, and it weighed a ton. I toted that thing around to like Florida, and I just wasn't into getting a new TV, right? I was like, it works. I mean, you may have seen that, but I was like, it works. Why should I get a new TV? It works.
Yeah.
Until it just actually stopped working. Like the whole screen turned blue.
Yeah, the light bulb eventually goes on.
Everything on the TV was blue now. So we're like, time to get a new TV. So we went to Costco and we got a flat screen plasma. Because that's what everybody gets now, right? Mm-hmm. It was, but you've seen that one. It's big, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Did they break that one?
Yeah, she broke it.
Yeesh.
She threw something. It hit the TV, and this.
I was about to say, I bet she threw something at it.
It looked like an ink blot had formed, and then it started to grow.
Yeah, the pixels busted.
It started to grow. I'm like, this thing is like so delicate. Because you know, my old TV. He was like, we would clunk that thing into.
Yeah, tube TVs didn't break for nothing.
No, they didn't break.
There are people who just eventually, they were like, okay, we're going to wait for it to die, we get a new TV. Now it's just sitting on the side of the road, because like, this shit is never dying, is it?
No, it didn't die for like, how long? 2004, 2015. Like, it didn't die for like 11 years, right?
Yeah, and even then, it's probably had to do more so with like how hot it is in Florida, because like,
quite possibly.
I have a TV that we just had to give away, and we had it since I can remember. It was my very first television, and me and my brother put that thing through the ringer.
Yeah,
like
I'm sure.
Through the ringer, and like going into like graduating high school, we had that.
You could throw
TV.
things at that TV, and it would just bounce off the screen, you know.
Yeah.
But this thing, they're like so delicate. Anyway, so it's broken. So we don't got no TV, and then without a TV, why the hell do you have cable? So I canceled cable, and Vesper will be like,
Liz, everybody else, oh, let me go get a television. Liz is, oh, we don't have a TV.
No, Vesper's like, are we getting
cable?
No, Vesper's like, can we watch TV? And I'm like, we can't watch TV, honey, because you broke it, remember?
Oh.
She's like, when are we getting a new TV? I'm like, we're getting a new TV when the life of a plasma TV runs out on this one. Because I'm not getting one a day earlier.
On the what?
On our current broken TV.
Like plasma TVs last for like 20 years.
Okay, I guess we're not getting a TV for 20 years then.
And she's probably serious. This.
Because I'm just not going to do that. And we didn't even get rid of it. It's still in our living room for decoration. I'm like, God damn, we gotta have a TV. We gotta
remind her every single day.
No, it's not that. I don't remind her. We don't care. It's kind of like a decoration.
It's empty.
But I'm like, we're not gonna get. First of all, I don't want to move it because it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's bolted to the cabinet, and I'm like, every house needs a plasma TV, so that's staying there.
Ask Vesper. Well, you always tell her don't throw stuff. Well, there you go.
No, but I'm not like a jerk about it. I don't bring it up. We just don't talk about it.
Oh, see it's totally different for me. If that was me, I'd be like, yeah, damn, I really wish I could watch TV right now. Don't you wish you could watch TV right now, best friend?
No, because that would be a lot. Because I don't want to watch TV.
I do that to my dog. I'm petty with my animals, so I know I would be like that with my kids. Like, and he doesn't even understand me. Like my dog.
How many fur babies do you have?
1 dog, 4 cats.
Are all 4 cats related?
No, Asher is not related to them.
Oh, okay.
Asher is the oldest. Luna.
What was your dog's name?
Kane.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Whenever I have good food and he knows better than to beg, And so when he starts begging, I will tantalize him with the food.
Because he's young. Because he was very active. Because I walked. Remember that time in Philly?
He's not that active. He's like 3 years old.
He was active in Philly, but maybe
he's still no. He's not young. He's super active. No, he's
okay.
And I thought they were like, 2 years. Okay, cool.
Because you brought him to Philly.
3 years. But everybody says that he's like that because I'm a good dad. So that's their answer for that. I don't get it, but I guess because he feels like he can. Like he's used to getting a lot of love all the time, and he's always been treated well. So he
was a nice dog. He was very friendly.
Yeah, he's really obedient.
I walked him once.
Yeah, I know he was like.
Yeah, I know. He was very excited. He pooped.
Yeah, my dog came in Philly. He was very well behaved.
He was very nice.
He's just a little hyperactive.
What kind of breed is he?
He's half German Shepherd, half Rottweiler.
He's really long-legged for a German Shepherd Rottie mix.
Well, German Shepherds, if you like the short-haired German Shepherds do have long legs.
Oh, I can see
he's the medium size. Like he's not like the K9 bred German Shepherd. He's the smaller, the mid-sized breed. And then, but he does have like a.
Because he had kind of like a greyhound.
His kind other, he does. I feel like he does have at least some kind of like greyhound or there's another one that looks almost like his body build exactly.
Borzois?
What? No, like a lab.
I really like that.
Like
the fact that I know
Borzois. Lab. But like, cause he's like cannot like dogs like walk around like and they're curious, but he can't help but sniff things, like. He will walk with his face.
Niko, he has like doggy ADHD.
Oh yeah, well it's funny because he actually acts like me. I don't know, maybe y'all know this, but do animals like take on their?
Yeah, because my dog stopped moving.
What?
She just. I'm very sedentary because I don't move either.
Yeah, and she'll sit. Yeah, Ruby was come up and sit beside you, just not move. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, and she's also like ill-tempered sometimes because she'll just
moody.
Like,
yeah, Ruby's definitely moody too. Like Kane is very like he talks a lot. He goes.
You know, when I first brought Ruby from the pound, she bit Visper. I was thinking of like taking her back, but it was a tiny little nip. I'm like, that dog bit my toddler. But then of course Vesper was going over there poking the dog's eyes.
I mean, if she was doing to her what she was trying to do to the kitten, and that was when she was trying to be nice to him.
But that has never happened. I'm so glad I didn't like take her back or.
Yeah, Ruby's sweet.
I was like, I'm gonna keep a hawk's eye out on the dog and the kid, and that was 4 years ago, and nothing happened since then. But she was also very like agitated because she had just come from the pound.
Yeah,
she didn't know what. She was freaked out. She hid under the, But she turned out to be a real winner.
And her and the kitten have been getting along well still.
Oh yeah. Do you know? Okay. Do you know when you first brought Sugar over, and we were acclimating them, and they were getting along real well, and then the kitten disappeared.
Well, like outside.
No, it was gone.
Oh well, So
Jared thought that the dog ate the kitten, and I'm like, I don't think so. Where are the bones? And Jared's like, that kitten is so small, she just swallowed him and woke up. I'm like, Niko's gonna be. We're just bad parents. Niko's, but you know what? No, the dog did not eat the kitten. She was sleeping.
He was hiding and sleeping and hiding and eating and sleeping.
Yeah, Sugar was napping in the pantry. Came out like 3 hours later. We turned the house upside down. Could not.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do that. Yeah. Like Nala, the other one.
People are gonna be like, I hope you don't think I'm a bad person for like.
Well, kittens kind of do their own thing.
Thinking that the dog ate the cat. Like, I give you a kitten and you just let your dog eat it.
So first of all, weird thing. So I know because Jerry, he had to text me. I guess because like Sugar's super like nice and like comfortable around people, and which I guess he's not used to. I guess his other cats weren't really like that, and so like, he went out his way to text me, and I thought like, wow, okay, I thought it was just Nala and King are like that because they like came up with and they're not the only like Chanel, the other one who looks like Sugar, is the exact same way, and so is
do they climb? Do your cats climb?
Yeah, but I think that they did that. They grew up doing that together. That's why he does it.
Okay, because you know what he does?
He climbs like Spider-Man, I'm sure.
He goes up the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That Nala does the same thing.
We have a 2-story house.
Yeah. He climbs all the way up.
One time I was driving home and I saw him on the upper. I don't know how he got up there. I saw a silhouette of a cat watching me come.
Yeah, and they just hang out there. I'm like, okay, because like Asher, when he climbs, it's for a purpose. He's trying to get somewhere. Like he likes being high and hanging out and like watching. Not Nala and King. Nala will climb the screen and just like
this cat.
Like and like I'm like,
yeah, but I'm like, this cat is like on the roof of the second story. I'm like, what are you doing up there?
They all used to climb the screen together and like play like and hit each other like while they were climbing the screen. They all three just do that. That's why. But yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but they're all extremely sweet and they're all similar in the way how they treat people, which is really cool because like I didn't know that cats. I thought once they get separated, they forget about what happened.
Yeah, personalized. I mean, like Sugar has these claws, like you wouldn't believe, right?
Oh no,
because
I deal with them.
Because well, Sugar goes outside, so I leave the claws on. But like when he's on my lap, like and he'll like bat at me, it's like no scratches.
Oh yeah. Now the only time that I would say none of the other kittens do this. Only King does it, which sucks because he's the biggest one and the strongest one.
He scratches.
He doesn't mean to though.
I know.
He reaches up to try and get me to pick him up because he's a big ass baby. He's the biggest baby out of all of them. He's the one who forced me to keep him essentially. So I'm not joking. Like when he was young, I had to do my shows, my radio show with him sitting on my lap.
Yeah.
Because he would scream so loud in the room that I couldn't.
People were like,
well, yeah, what's going on?
What's going on over there?
So I had he had to sleep on my pillow right next to my face. If I left the room to go get something to drink, first it was like lightning. I would get up, you kind of like go into the refrigerator and like I'm opening the refrigerator and tripping over him because he's already under my feet. Was
he your first cat?
No, Asher was. Asher's a baby too. And Asher was a baby, but King is a whole nother level, and I don't understand why he's so different. Like, and boy cats are kind of more affectionate than female cats, but he is, and I think he might be autistic. I think there's a chance that he's autistic.
I thought all cats were kind of autistic.
Well, I'm sure in a way, but like he specifically is more like he has a lot of Luna's facial features, and then we think Luna is like autistic. Like she definitely has super anxiety for no reason. But Nala doesn't have it at all. Nala is extremely smart, very quick. If I say her name, she'll turn around like this, looks at me like in the face, and she's very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Dog-like?
When she looks at you, it's like purposeful. Like there's a word, deliberate. It's very deliberate. When King looks at me, he's like kind of like, are you talking to me, or are you looking at me, or are you talking? Or like, for example, when he does something and I'll spank him, he just keeps doing, like he'll stop for 2 seconds, but he keeps doing it.
Like, hit me again.
But it's like he legitimately forgot.
You try hit me.
No. That's Asher. Asher and Nala, however, because they're like I said, that's why I started noticing it. Like with Asher, I spank him. Yeah, he'll do it again in 2 minutes, but he's looking back to see if I'm gonna hit his ass again. He's like, did they walk away? Okay, cool.
What was he doing?
Like trying to eat my food or like climbing on something.
Why is your food like accessible?
It's my lap. He walks up like King walks up casually and reaches and will try to grab like my food. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And like I was like his butt, and he'll back up, but he just goes back. Like I'm like, bro, what's going on? What's this? What is this? And he doesn't care. Like he won't respond to his name.
That's why cats and dogs are different,
but it's only King's like that. Nala knows her name. If I tell her to get down, she gets down immediately. She knows when she's in trouble. She has like the look like, oh shit, they caught me. King, when he's in trouble, he doesn't react. He just like, okay, whatever. Asher reacts. Asher's because he's a Siamese, so Siamese are kind of like up there when it comes to like human interaction. They're really smart. I walk into the room, Asher knows he does something wrong and will get up and run. But King, I walk into the room and he's doing something wrong, he just goes on right about his business. So I'm like, something wrong with you, boy. And he's like super, super affectionate, which is actually a trait of somebody who is autistic. They're very affectionate. So that I was like, so maybe he is. But he looks like, I guess if you didn't have him, you might not notice it. But because I guess at this point, I have so many cats, and I've seen kittens. I had them for long periods of time, and I know, like, this is how a cat would react in this situation. I know this is how a cat react. he doesn't react how he's supposed to. The same way Luna doesn't react how she's supposed to in a lot of weird situations. But they kind of told us that like there was like something wrong with her when we first took her to the vet because she was so young and she was eating stuff she wasn't supposed to eat. So like, it's a huge probability that there's going to be something wrong with her. They just didn't know what it was. So and she's I don't know if you've seen Luna. Luna looks like a kitten still. And Nala looks like a kitten still, but Nala acts probably the most cat-like than all of them.
Sugar is growing.
Yeah,
you'd be surprised to see him now. He's fairly
I know, I'm a little baby. But anyway, so we're gonna go. Goodness gracious, it's 5 o'clock. You're supposed to be at home.
No way.
It's 6. She don't get in trouble. Thanks for watching because
did we just talk for 4 hours?
Not 4 hours. Was it 4 hours?
We're supposed to be here at 2:30. We started at like 2:30.
You didn't get here until 3.
No, that's not true. I got here at like 2:15.
No, you got here.
No. You're making it up.
I'm not making that up.
No, yes, you are.
Listen. I'm gonna show you. Hold on.
No. You may have started it at 3 because we were sitting here chatting for a long time, and then I was live streaming.
Yeah, but we chatted before I started my live stream. Remember?
No, I know. So you may have started. When did you start your live stream? I did not get here at 3.
But anyway, thank you, people. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.